Mark Susko and Andy Shields. This week, we had the pleasure of watching the 1992 film A League of Their Own. So this is 2 baseball films and 3 Rebotchables for us.
Right.
But I guess we're missing sports. Maybe that has something to do with it too. But also just great movies, great baseball movies.
Definitely missing sports. Definitely missing baseball in particular. We did argue this a bunch, but we could argue that this is the first real sports movie that we've done, because The Sandlot could be argued as a kids movie rather than a sports movie. But I digress.
Yeah, you made that argument very eloquently in The Sandlot's podcast.
I think I also made it about 7 times.
This movie was released on July 1st, 1992. It was budgeted for $40 million, and it made $132 million box office worldwide. It was the 7th highest grossing film of 1992, eclipsed only by Batman Returns, Lethal Weapon 3, Sister Act, Home Alone 2, Wayne's World, and Basic Instinct. Wow. It beat out Aladdin and Andy's favorite, Under Siege. Batman Returns, though, #1 movie in 1992. I guess it had a lot going for it. That's a terrible movie.
Oh, I agree.
Hey now. The Tim Burton Batman is underrated. Michelle Pfeiffer is Catwoman? Come on.
Yeah, she's great. Who's the Batman? Is that Michael Keaton?
Michael Keaton.
Returns?
Yeah.
Second one, yeah. The first one
I love the first one, not complaining. We digress.
Christopher Walken was in that movie?
Good call.
All right, sorry.
That's all right. My main takeaway from rewatching this, I watched it once with my wife Jenna on Saturday. Andy watched it with his wife Jessie as well. So we have some female perspectives come up, but I watched it another time by myself. And my first biggest takeaway was I had not seen the beginning of this movie in like 25 years. I've always just picked it up on cable at some point, which is the definition of what a rewatchable is. I had no idea or memory that this started with old Dottie, like in the house, like packing a suitcase with that cheesy ass Now and Forever song. Like, okay. I was like, what movie is this?
Well, I like the way they did that. You know, it starts in the current era, and then it flash back, and then you flash forward again. I don't know. I like the way they did that.
I'm not saying I didn't like it. I just had no memory of it.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah.
I think there are a number of movies that fit that exact same bill. I don't think that I had seen. Well, first of all, we had a lot of VHS tapes growing up, and a lot of them were taped off of the TV. So there are a lot of movies, just like the mixtapes that I had back in the day, where I had no idea what the beginning of songs or movies were, because we started it 5 minutes in. We turned the TV on and we're like, oh, it's on. We got to get it. Uncle Buck is like that for me. Like the beginning of that movie starts with Macaulay Culkin like running away from a fake bully, and none of the jokes about him imagining bullies for the rest of the movie make sense to me because I never saw that first part. But yeah, it's a good way. It's a good way to. There's a lot of mirrors in that opening scene too, like a lot of like foreshadowing to reflection and looking back, and I love the scene with the kids in the driveway playing basketball too. It's great.
Yeah, that's major foreshadowing when she's like to the younger kid, kick his ass or kick his butt, right?
Mm-hmm. Kill him.
Kill him. That's right.
Kill him. Ruthless. Roger Ebert, 3 out of 4 stars for the 3rd consecutive movie that he's done. Pretty impressive. He wrote that he had no idea that there was an organization named the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League, even though he was 12 years old when it closed up shop. Penny Marshall shows her women characters in a tug of war between new images and old values, and her movie's about transition. A lot of good stuff about women's liberation. By the end, when the women get together for the reunion, it's touching. The way they have to admit that, what do you know? They were really pioneers. So Rod just loved it. Like 2-page long, just glowing review of this movie.
Does he rarely give 4 stars? I'm actually shocked he didn't give this 4 stars. Like, what do you have to do to get a Roger Ebert 4-star movie? Right? I mean, am I crazy for
That's a
thinking
good
that?
question. I'd like to see all of the movies that Ebert gave 4 stars. I'm sure that there are some reactions there too.
Yeah. Crazy.
He's definitely a hard marker. Rotten Tomatoes, 78% of critics like it, 84% audience. Pretty good for critics. They're usually much lower.
Tom Hanks is in the movie, right? You can't review Tom Hanks negatively as a critic.
Yeah. Any other? When was the last time you had seen it, as opposed to when you watched it now, for both of you guys? Because it had been a while for me since I'd really sat down and watched this movie.
I had watched it actually a couple years ago. My niece, she's 13. I think we watched it with her maybe when she was 10 or so. It's like, it is a great movie, and especially for young girls too. I think it's kind of fun to watch. But overall, I just love the 1940s like vibe, like especially like being at a ballpark where there's no like distractions from the scoreboard or cheap entertainment. It's literally just like all about baseball. There's no like ads, like nobody has like phones to be distracted by. It's just pure like small town baseball feel. And I just love that aspect of this movie. It really takes you back in that period.
That's a really good point. I would say like that. I had that actually as that concept. Now that we're on it, I had that as what's age the worst. Just like the undivided attention that the ball field gets from everyone in the stands. Like you don't see that anymore. Everyone's distracted by their phones. There's the jumbotron. Nobody's watching the game anymore. Yeah, I own this on iTunes actually. So I try to watch it every once in a while. I think it's the second best baseball movie ever made. It's like an all-star cast of role players around Tom Hanks. Like Gina Davis could have been like, she was like the next big thing. Her career didn't pan out the way it probably could have. There's some scenes
we'll talk about
where I now kind of understand why. Like she might not be as good as everyone thought she was. But it's like Madonna's in this movie. She was like the thing in like the late 80s, early 90s. She was like the star. It would be like getting, I don't know, like I guess this wouldn't be that big of a deal, but it would be like getting Drake make a cameo in your movie as like a mid-level role player character. Like Rosie O'Donnell's at the top of her game. Like we can talk about Apex Mountain, but it's everyone's surrounding, but they're all role players. Nobody else.
But getting Madonna and having it not like be bad or cheap or stupid, that's like the most brilliant part of the movie. Because like you said, if we had Drake in a movie, it would be like, well, this is stupid. Like, right. But she's actually like pretty good at most parts, and we can talk about where she's not good and where she is good. But like, she doesn't like take away from this being like just a really good movie in general. No. Like her aura as a star, because she's put in her place as a role player.
Like so Gina Davis, Rosie O'Donnell, and Madonna are all like superstars, right? At this time, and maybe not Rosie O'Donnell, but still, like, shout out to Penny Marshall for reining in all of these big personalities around Tom Hanks and making sure that everyone plays an equal part in making it fantastic.
Yeah, it's a great point. I feel like today's like star celebrities wouldn't like take like a bit part in a movie. It wouldn't happen.
Yeah. So like the Departed is one of these where like you've got a bunch of people in the movie, but in that movie, no one's doing anything subtly. Everybody thinks that they're the star of the movie, and you can clearly tell here that people have like everyone knows their role really well. It's really good to see. This movie's also like talk about what's aged the best. Like this movie's also literally in the National Archives, so it is
just about to mention.
Aging well.
What does that mean when they say something's in the National Archives?
The Library of Congress. So it's like cemented into Americana.
Okay.
I think it was more of a bigger deal like back then when they would actually like preserve the film, like not knowing that like we would have a digital film archive one day. But
We all have this at our
The
fingertips
National
now.
Archive now is just like a terabyte hard drive
Yeah.
in some guy's living room.
All right. Any other thoughts before we get into the categories, or should we go off and running?
I'm good. I'm ready.
All right.
No, go
What do you
ahead.
got, Mark? All
Go
right.
ahead.
Most rewatchable scene. I did a pretty good job paring down my scenes. I'm getting better at this. The first scene it is a rather long. I'm calling it just the Ernie Cappadino recruitment. So I'm including his recruitment of both Dottie and Kit and Marla, just because like it kind of is the first scene of the movie. And it's
I can't
just
believe you
like
called him Ernie. Who calls him? Like, what everyone knows his last name. Like, it's John Lovitz.
it's just like the amount of one-liners that he spits out in this like 10-minute stretch, and then he's out of the movie forever, is just like incredible.
Excellent.
Some of them I don't even know what he's talking about. Like he says, "It's no skin off my ashtabula." You want to stay here plucking cows? That's your business. So long, milkmaids.
So long, milkmaids.
He has like 5 of my best quotes.
The tie, the cigar, like it's just from the moment he shows up to the moment he drops them off is just what a great way to kick off the movie and get you invested. Even like has nothing to do with like women's baseball, even if it does with them like trying out. It's just like his humor just like is so amazing on the juxtaposition of all their reactions.
It's unbelievable. It's maybe the best. It's like the funniest 10-minute performance in a movie I can think of. I've got like 10 of his lines written down for best quote, and I actually want to get down like what are the best 3 Lovitz quotes in the movie. Like I think I've got thoughts on this in another category, but he could, if you take his role down from 10 minutes to like 5 minutes and cut out half of his lines, he's still the funniest part of the movie.
Yes.
Yeah. It's true.
So apparently he had a much larger role in the original cut of the movie, which was
Uh-huh.
4 hours long. This is 208. And they decided that when they showed it to audiences, I guess he had come back in other parts of the movie with some of the other girls or been involved in like the audience, like the crowd. And he was just the beginning of the movie was much longer, but they decided when they cut it down, the audience just like roared when they only kept the most ludicrous things that he said.
Oh, right.
He did a phenomenal job picking those down.
And he ends, I think his last line is, "I'm just going to go home, grab a shower and a shave, give the wife a little pickle tickle, and I'm on my way." It's the last thing he says in the movie.
And then he says, when they like, "I hope you don't," he says something like, "I hope you don't miss me." And then the last thing that he says before he walks out of Harvey Field is, "I hate when they get attached to me like that."
Oh,
That's
God.
like George Costanza like leaving on top. Like,
Yeah.
I think like a metaphor for his performance, like it's a drive-by shooting. He comes in, he destroys everyone around him for 10 minutes, and then he leaves and you never see him again. So wait, the original cut of this was 4 hours long.
That's what I read, yeah.
I can't imagine a version of this movie where Ernie Cappadino comes back and like redeems himself as a good person. Like it's not. That's a movie.
Yes.
I'm glad
some
they cut it down.
Underrated parts from this scene that we're calling it in air quotes was the running on the train moment is really good. Just like a classic movie, like, oh, here she comes, and like throws her bag, and then she comes back, and then she reappears. Just like very cartoonish and funny, but very fitting. And like just seeing how nice the train was in the 1940s. Like it looks like it's nicer than any living room I've ever been in.
I'd love to be able to like catch a train that way. Like I would love that. I wish that was like possible. It would never happen.
I think they're coming back in Europe now. People are realizing that instead of spending a night in a hotel, they'd rather go to a different country and sleep on the train. So they're bringing back those sleeper trains.
I thought you meant they were bringing back like the opportunity to run onto the train.
Yeah, then I was like, let's go to Europe. That's like my
Can
dream
we?
to do something
Oh
like
my God, I would love to do that someday.
that. Yeah.
Sign me up.
And then the Marla Hooch tryout is just great in general. The dad speech is so touching. It's not don't penalize her because I raised her like a boy. Like that's the first time the tears start welling up a little bit.
I think I texted that when they're in the train station. Oh my God. Mr. Hooch,
Yeah.
Mr. Hooch gets me every time.
Such a
tells you
softie.
that
He's not quite that guy because like I don't even know anything else he's in, but like his face just like warms my heart.
Oh, he's a that guy. He's a that guy for sure. He's one of the security guards in Sneakers.
Okay, that's pretty
It's a little
loose for being a that guy.
Well, dude, we could do Sneakers rewatchable right now. I'm ready.
And just Marla crushing them righty and lefty. She looks like General Omar Bradley, who I Googled. He's not even that ugly.
So good. Love that scene.
I think honestly, the funniest moment in the movie for me happens in that scene. And it happens, and Lovitz doesn't even say anything. Marla takes her hat off, looks up at him, and the look that he gives her, if he didn't say anything else in the movie, it would still be the funniest thing.
It's so
good. It's
yes.
perfect. Apparently, this is like half-ass. I'm stepping on half-ass internet research, but
no.
This is Lovett's time. Apparently, Lori Petty like bled from the mouth multiple times on set because she was biting her tongue to keep from laughing at Lovitz. Like it took everything that everyone around him had to stay in character when he was cracking these jokes.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a good point about that scene now, that it's like you're laughing during that scene and you're also crying. I feel like that's the overall movie. You're laughing and crying at different points, and it's just the whole well of emotions.
Yes.
She toys
and
with
then I want to know how much he ad-libbed and how much was scripted. I know the role was written specifically for him, but like I wonder if they just like let him go. I don't know what kind of actor Lovitz is. He had the SNL background, obviously. He's on SNL at the time, but phenomenal.
I think I don't know. It doesn't seem like those lines could have. If they're improv, it's amazing, but I think that it's just the way that he delivers everything.
His
it's
delivery.
So good. Like, so long, milkmaids is not really that funny, but so long, milkmaids.
Yeah, he says like, "Hey, see cowgirls, see the grass, don't eat it." Like, not that
yeah.
funny of a line.
His first line in the movie when he's watching them play baseball is, "Hey, fatso, get out of the way. What are you, crazy?"
Oh man, it's tough to top that scene, but my second most rewatchable scene, this bleeds right into it, is the Harvey Field tryouts. Meeting everybody, Madonna's accent, Rosie's accent, the barehanded catch where they just chuck it at Dottie as hard as humanly possible. Like anyone does that with a baseball ever. And then just a great training montage with like pretty good baseball skills on display, some ridiculous diving catches, including one of the girls just goes into the ivy full on. And then that ends up with the girl, they see their names on the list, then the one girl can't read, and then they see their uniforms, and that's the no smoking, no drinking, no men, and that's kind of the end of the scene right there.
No men, and then May almost walks out, like she makes the team. No smoke, no men, and she's trying to leave.
I'll tell you what, if I had to like look up my name like on that list in cursive writing, it would take me. I can't read cursive. I don't know. I just can't. It's so hard for me. I have to really.
For everyone out there, Mark has an advanced degree.
I totally struggle with it. So I could sympathize with the person who couldn't even read. So
that brought it back for me for sure, because definitely in high school, like you guys were both stud athletes, so you never had to worry about being cut. But like, I definitely had some basketball tryouts where I was on the list at first and then wasn't on the list in the end, and it's like they just like posted outside like some teacher's classroom at like 3:00 and you go see, like, for everyone to see that you like didn't make the team. Like, it's like terrible. This is like some of the worst moments of my life.
It's also on my what age the best list, is like the anxiety of a team or cast posting for like a sports team or a play where they post something and everyone is immediately scrambling to figure out who made it, who didn't, what team am I on.
Do you think they still do that in high school these days? Like, do you think they just post a list, or do you think it's just online, or is it email or text?
They email. They probably have a special conference with each person who didn't make it to like make sure they're okay.
Talk to the parents first.
Yeah. Or no, everybody just makes the team now, and then you just like don't play.
That was our college baseball coach's mantra. We had 30 guys on the team. We're like, Coach, how come you don't cut anybody? They'll cut themselves.
I love Dottie throwing a seed to second base, just like just a seed. Like that first throw from the other girl isn't even that bad. It's like on one hop, it gets there, could have maybe gotten somebody, and then she gets up there and just like boom, right to second.
Good dime.
And with the glove hurting, the hand.
Yeah.
Anything else stick out for you guys from that scene? It's one of the better baseball scenes in the movie.
Great baseball training. The athletes look really good. I think this is one of the top 3 or 4 baseball movies where the baseball action looks decent. It's really hard to do, but like Penny Marshall made sure that everyone who tried out, there are very few stunts in this movie. Everyone is doing their own stunts. They're playing their own baseball. There's only a couple of moments in the movie where they're not. And like those drills are still drills that you do in a large scale tryout. You're still doing the relay train. You're still doing the sliding. I think that The Sandlot actually ripped off their training montage from this movie because it's set to music. There's a lot of sliding and there's just a lot of throwing and catching, it's awesome.
I wrote that down. I said, this is very Sandlot-esque. And the music in the scene where the Sandlot guys are beating the other team to the music here is very, very similar. Very like whimsy 1940s, 50s music.
Swinging.
And furthermore, on this, the Wrigley Field as like another character is great too, especially like the wide overhead shots. Like, it's awesome.
Really cool. Really cool that they could do it at Wrigley.
Yes. My third most rewatchable scene is the first game. I don't even remember who the Peaches were playing. Maybe one of you guys do, but we'll start this when Jimmy D comes in hammered and takes the piss. I love the way he just leans on the window. Like apparently he didn't know how long it was gonna go. It was Penny Marshall was standing next to him with a hose and just like letting the water go. So he had to just keep like ad-libbing reactions and like other facial expressions. And Rosie's just like one-liners up the wazoo, like, oh, it could be a record. And he's just so drunk, like just blasted out of his mind drunk when he walks into that room for the first time.
Can barely stand. Look, we've all been there before. That is a satisfying urination, guys.
Oh. Totally. And when he rips Betty Spaghetti's baseball card of him, like, right?
Yeah.
Can I have your autograph?
Unanswerable question. Does he remember this moment later in the movie when George is pronounced dead? Does he feel bad about it?
No, not a chance. And then he goes out onto the field. He waves his little hat, and he's just like, "Kiss my big hairy ass," which is just like you're not used to hearing Tom Hanks say things like that. And then he's just a complete like no-show during the game. And then Dottie hits a walk-off, and the announcer gives him credit, like, "Oh, what a call by Jimmy Dugan!" Like having the hit and run on.
Age the one. Guys getting credit for things girls did. Age the word.
But that's just awesome. Like
Also, a great David Strathairn line when he comes in. It's a great bit of coaching
Yes.
there, Jimmy. I especially like the part where you sat still and scratched your balls for 5 minutes. And Jimmy goes, "Ain't worth doing something if you're not going to do it right."
That's a good one.
And he does. I think he opens with, "Hey Jimmy, I didn't know if you were drunk or dead."
Yeah.
There's not that much baseball in that scene. They pretty much jump right to the 9th inning from the. It's like the wave your hat little intro to take the field, and they go to the end. But it's still a great scene.
It's like the introduction, the lineups, and then they cut to basically the walk-off, right?
Yeah.
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 That was my third scene. Number 4 is the no crying in baseball scene. Just like the setup, I always forget. Like, I was wondering why you would throw home when we got a 2-run lead. You let the tying run get on second base, and we lost the lead because you start using your head. You know, that's the 3 feet above your ass.
Glorious.
I love when like right after that, I think the ump comes over and is like, "What's the problem?" He's like, "She's crying, sir."
Yeah.
He's so incredulous that she's crying. She's crying.
The umpire, this guy, this fucking hack behind home plate, who's now umpiring like a 4-team women's baseball league, says something like, "I believe you chastised her too vehemently."
Yes.
This guy.
He's like, "You should treat all the girls like your own daughter." And then Jimmy tells him, "Did I ever tell you look like a little penis with a hat on?"
Yeah. Such an amazing line.
Does that get you thrown out of a major league game today?
Do the umps wear those little hats?
I don't care. If you say he looks like a little penis with a hat, you getting tossed.
Yeah, I think so.
I think little penis is like, that's pretty bad, right? That's like worse than just calling someone a dickhead.
Yeah,
right.
Thirsting at them. Yeah.
Don't they talk about this in Bull Durham, where like you cross the line when you call him a cocksucker? And that's the word that absolutely gets you thrown out. I don't know, little penis, dumbed down version of that. I might get a warning.
Jenna said that the little penis line gets too overshadowed by "There's no crying in baseball" as one of the better lines in the movie, but no one remembers that one as much because the "no crying" is like one of the greatest quotes in movie history.
Yeah, there's plenty that can get overshadowed.
Yeah.
I also like when he does like, "Oh, zip it, Doris. Rogers horns me with my manager, and he called me a talking pile of pig shit every day." And that was when my parents drove all the way down from Michigan to see me. And did I cry?
Yeah.
Did I cry? No.
And at that point, I'm like, you know what? You're right, Jimmy. Like,
very persuasive argument.
But it's such a great setup. Like that is, I think, even above "There's no crying in baseball," even the second Evelyn Gardner scene when she misses the cutoff again, like that one, it's just his reaction to that is fucking perfect.
The handshaking, it's so good.
I think I've done that to each of you in a bar last year.
You can't leave. You can't leave right now.
That transitions me to my 5th and final rewatchable scene, which is Game 7 of the World Series. Stillwell starting off with the "You're gonna lose, you're gonna lose," and then Dottie just like pops back out of the dugout. And they have a nice little back and forth there. I wasn't sure how Jimmy was going to react, but it shows their relationship, which is like a nice moment for them. Apparently they wanted to make a love interest that was part of the original cut where they like kiss in one of the scenes, and that was cut out. So you can kind of see that tension / happiness to see each other there, which was never paid off, but still works.
Well, and you also see that obviously there's a mutual respect, but you know that Jimmy's got something for Dottie through the whole movie, right? Like he's comparing himself to Bill on the bus. You're like, good looking and smart. So few of us.
That's a great
And
line.
then she tells him at the end of that. She tells him at the end of that exchange, like, "Hey Jimmy," just to kind of like bust his balls a little bit after they have a nice moment. Like, "Hey Jimmy, you look like shit. Don't you ever shave?" And then he comes out after they lose. He comes out of the dugout into the street, and he's actually shaved his beard, or shaved his scruff.
Oh, that's a nice.
No, I
detail.
don't notice
You
that.
know that there's stuff going on there
Yeah.
that they had to cut out and leave in.
Well, I read, like Mike said, that they did try to initially have some sort of relationship between them in the movie. I think they actually kissed in one scene that was cut. And I think, like, if you rewatch that bus scene, like when they're late at night, like talking on the bus, I don't know if you remember that, like you could see or sense some tension between them, like it's more than just kind of a friendship.
Well, I think that in the 4-hour cut to the long cut, that I think Dottie played like a key role in getting Jimmy to quit drinking. I think that's what they wanted to do with that. 'Cause she takes the booze away from him, gives him a Coke.
Interesting.
Yeah. But as for Game 7, we get the payoff of the no crying in baseball, where he does the shaking and I want you to just work on that for next season. But then it does come into play, because on the final play, she actually does hit the cutoff man and makes the right play, and Dottie just drops the fucking ball.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah, well, that's an unanswerable question we can get to later. I love this scene because it's one of the longer, like, true baseball scenes we get. Most of the games are pretty quick throughout the movie, which is good, because like you're not getting bogged down, and like the actual results of the individual games don't matter. You just need like the newsreel clips and all that to carry you through. But this is like, you get a sense of Game 7 and the drama. Kit, like, giving up the lead. I have a big issue with how she does not walk Dottie intentionally. I mean,
so is
second
and third. Okay, yeah.
Second and third, 2 outs. No manager in their right mind is letting her pitch to theoretically the MVP of the league. They think she's got a.
She's not, though. She's the league's best player, but it's because of all around. Like, you know who's coming up after her, right?
Who is it, Marla?
You got to pitch the bases loaded to Marla Hooch.
Okay, but are you going to pitch to somebody who has seen every pitch that the pitcher has thrown for their entire life? Like, there's no way she's not getting a hit. Like, the only success I ever had in Little League was against my friends, who I knew what was coming because I had been playing against it in our backyard. Like,
that's the tying run at third, right? Tying runs.
Yeah, it's 1-0. Yeah, they're down 1-0.
There's
two. Baseball situation is you want to have a force out, right? I mean,
you probably want to have that force out with 2 outs, but you also don't want to put the winning run is fine, but you still have to bat in the 9th. You don't want to put an extra base runner on, especially if the difference between Dottie and Marla is marginal in terms of. I understand, like, knowing that Dottie knows every pitch that she's thrown, but you still got Marla on deck.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I also have a problem with this, though, because May's on third, Doris is on second. May's the leadoff hitter, Doris is the 2-hitter, and then 2 people get out in between. I think Evelyn and maybe Helen Haley get out. Like, Dottie and Marla have been batting third and fourth all year. They needed to have 2. Like, I don't understand why they didn't just make the 2 outs in the beginning of the inning and then keep the lineup steady. Right?
That's a great call.
She's hitting 5th.
Yeah.
What if they were going like 2020 baseball lineup? They were batting May 9th.
You think Dugan's doing advanced analytics?
That's a great call about the lineup. And I think in the first
He's got
game,
Stillwell writing down stuff in the dugout.
I don't know if I read this or if it was in the first game that Evelyn bats 9th. I don't know if I read that somewhere or what, but
I thought Kit.
And all of a sudden she's batting 3rd in the Game 7 of the World Series.
The bat order in that scene doesn't make any sense. It's one of my biggest. It's one of my biggest and only nitpicks of the whole movie.
All right. Either way, great drama, great scene. Great. Taya Leone pops up for a second, looking great.
You picked up on it? I read about it after that she's in it.
Oh, I knew she was. I was looking for it because I had not realized it before, but then like. She's smiling and shitting grin on her face. The scene in the 9th inning when I think she gets on base, she scores the tying run before Kit wins it. I believe.
Okay.
And then
Taylor-
just
I was
just
gonna say
the
for people who don't know, like Taylor Leone was on Racine, the other team.
yes, she was on Racine. Yeah. I mean, Kit crying after she blows it, like, get over yourself. Really unacceptable for me.
We're gonna talk
and then
later.
yeah. But and then she blows through the stop sign and then just bowls her over for the win. But it's well cut. Like they do the slow-mo in the right part.
Yeah.
It's like they cut to the hand is great. The ump is great. It's just like a well-produced like baseball choreography. I don't know.
Yeah, it's really good.
I'm guessing Penny was a huge baseball fan, but it's all the baseball stuff is great.
It's the same base running mistake that Benny the Jet makes in The Sandlot like 5 times.
I was gonna say yet another baseball movie with terrible base running. I mean,
She hits third base as Doris catches the
you
ball.
see the ball. You see the ball.
She's got 90 feet to go.
Like, Donnie
I don't
could have
think she
ran at
cared.
her.
I think Kit would have gone from second if that was the case. She just was going. Yeah.
Also, Lori Petty, one of the great movie runners of all time.
Yeah, you're true. In slow motion, she looks great.
Yeah.
She can book it.
Her running motion is much better than her throwing motion.
So in the scene where, definitely. In the scene where Dottie beats her to the house at the beginning of the movie, Lori Petty had to slow down significantly so that Dottie could beat her because she apparently was like blowing her away and actually tried.
Yeah. Yes.
Makes sense. I mean, I really feel like Dottie could have came out from home plate to go tag her. She didn't have to wait at home plate to get bowled over. If you like watch the actual like the throw when she's rounding third base, I mean, there's no way she got there like 2 seconds out. Yeah. Nitpicking.
Do you guys have any other scenes before we decide which was number one?
I just had one other scene. I just had the dancing scene at the Suds bucket.
It's my honorable mention.
Me too.
Vibe, and again, it really fun to kind of just see what it would have been like to just go out in that era to a bar. Like again, no phones, just everybody just dancing, having a good time, drinking. Just looked like a great time. Good music.
The Suds bucket on my list of one of my like the places in movies that I would most want to hang out in. Like that place is awesome. Like all that old wood, you've got the swing band playing, everybody's dancing, having a good time. Fans all over the place. There's a baseball team inside of it. It's great.
I love the kid trying to hit on Dottie. In the car. The choreographed dancing always gets me. Like in the 1940s, just like did everybody know the dances?
Yeah.
That's just the way it was, right? Like you just like knew what to do, right?
I think swing dancing was more popular.
You've got sock hops where everybody does like the Charleston, where you go around and you do these choreographed dances. I mean, obviously it's choreographed. I like that Doris is doing all the male parts too. Like she's flipping the guys over.
Yeah.
We hear about the Doris May origin story. Doris's dad owned like a gentleman's club in upstate New York. May was a dancer and Doris was a bouncer at the club.
So good.
That's incredible. I don't know. It's an unanswerable question, but is this the best Madonna's ever looked?
I had her as what stage the best. I thought she looked great. So
for me, probably.
And we also get the Marla Hooch, I'm singing to Nelson, baby.
Yeah. It had to be you.
It had to be you.
Just like all we gave her was some liquor and a microphone. Dressing for liquor. I think no crying in baseball still wins for me, but I could make a case for the pissing scene too, as like something I would watch over and over again.
I have one more it's small and probably not. It's probably an honorable mention more than a nominee, but the sign off with Marla where Dottie's giving her the sign to squeeze, and this is the first time that Jimmy actually takes an interest out of spite because he thinks that they're fucking up and they're doing the wrong thing, and they come up and Marla is moving in and out of the batter's box trying to take the sign from the two of them. It's the first time where Dugan actually shows interest. It's a turning point. It's fun to watch. It's like if you had two people, if you were a hitter and you like there were men on base, there's someone on third, and you've got two coaches giving you two different signs, like you would do the exact same thing in the back.
And he ends up being right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good
I
scene.
had instead of Game 7, I just had the Game 7 pregame. Everything leading up to the actual game. Like it starts from the prayer in the dugout where he gives a shout out to the waitress from South Bend who kept yelling his name.
You know who she is.
To "You're gonna lose," to "We're gonna win. We're gonna win," and then he hits Stillwell in the face with the glove, and it's really subtle how he does. But like this is, I think, like this. Hats off to Penny Marshall again for this one. And I don't know if this was Hank's, but I'm gonna give credit to Marshall because when he hits him in the face, he does one of these, which is exactly the same motion that an umpire makes when they're striking somebody out. So like it's a total like baseball motion that they got when he hits a kid in the face with a glove. It's beautiful.
That's a great scene.
What are we giving it to? There's no crying in baseball?
I think for when it is in the movie, like the tone it sets, the like Doris and May being funny in the background. But there's also no really Dottie in that scene too. It's still pretty great.
I would put the Lovitz montage scene. I don't know. That just always reels me in. I feel like, and that's more towards the beginning of the movie. But from rewatchability, I could just watch that over and over again.
I'm with Mark because then once you're in it, the rest of the movie comes to you, and if Lovitz is on screen, I'm not turning it off.
Exactly. Yeah. And plus he's going away too, so it's really rewatchable because you want to get in for 10 minutes.
Yeah,
that's fair. I'll give you guys that. What's aged the best? We've talked about a few. The soundtrack done by Hans Zimmer, which I did not know until last week. I mean, he's been like the king of movies for as long as we can know, but usually dark action movies, Christopher Nolan movies. Like he like brings it in this movie, and I was really once I learned that it was him, I like had a much bigger ear out for all the music, and like it's awesome.
Yes, music is the score is unbelievable. It takes you from happy to emotional, back to happy to silly, and it really doesn't have anything to do with what's going on camera. It's all of your emotion in this movie is driven by that score. And apparently Zimmer didn't even know anything about baseball, which A, doesn't surprise me, but B, is like even more impressive that he was able to he can do swing. I had an unanswerable question of what is this movie like if Penny Marshall gets Zimmer in his Inception score days? Like what what is this movie with like driving ambient bass instead of light swing music?
Yeah,
I agree. The music is great in that movie. It really is.
And there's not a lot of other like pop songs or 40s songs, or maybe there are, but we just don't recognize them as the 40s. But like, it's mostly just the score throughout the movie. There's no like soundtrack aside from like the Now and Forever at the beginning, and then Madonna's terrible song at the end.
And there's like 3 or 4 montages, and the score is just playing through all those, right?
Yes. Yes.
It just flows perfectly.
Mm-hmm. My other what's aged the best is the montages, especially the newsreel clips. I just love that like trope in movies, especially when you bring it into like the 4:3 black and white, and then they dissolve it out into full color. 16:9. I always love that. It's just like such a cheap trick, but it gets me every time. The first like newsreel clip is great, like with the Marla Hooch. What a hitter. She's just waving like that. The track in the beginning where he's like, "Look out, Mr. Hitler. The Yanks are coming." Not to mention the Red Sox, Indians, and Cardinals too. I'm sure he's really scared.
There's a lot of gems that the announcers make that are like completely understated. Very good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like what's another? What is like Uncle? He says Uncle Elmore's socks at one point.
Yeah. I think it's a Columbia Moviescope News, which I did not Google. I thought I was going to. Is that's a real thing or not? But just like the way that news clips used to be like delivered like that, like so produced, so like propaganda-y in a way, like are just like awesome. Like we would never watch something like that and take it seriously nowadays. But like back then, people would actually watch that and be like, "This is great."
That's how you got the news. Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, it is a good touch.
I also have Dottie, just aging the best. I think she looks the best when she's covered in dirt.
Yeah, she's very pretty for sure.
And she's just like a great character throughout the movie because like you don't really know if she like cares that much about baseball, but just like cares about her sister, cares about her husband, but still like she's just a gamer and brings it. Her motivations are unclear for most of the movie, but just like her raw talent and cool and calm is awesome. She's just a great Gina Davis role. Yeah.
She's the only one that you really get to see. She's the only character for whom keeping up appearances of the ideal 1940s woman is actually affecting. Everyone else, like, it either comes naturally to them, like Ellen Sue is just naturally gorgeous and also a good athlete. She's the only one that struggles with it. She's the only one that is she loves baseball obviously more than she would love being a homemaker, but can't show that because she's the good girl. She's the all-American girl, but is playing like she doesn't enjoy baseball or doesn't care about it when you know that's not the case.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if she's just like kind of stoic and subtle and good, or not showing a whole lot of emotion on her face because of the acting, but
yeah, it's
answerable.
Yeah.
I also had the African American hat tip where the ball gets thrown out and then she fires it back in, and then she does a little. Dottie gives her the little hat tip, and she just has that like badass look on her face as she walks away. Jenna cried during that scene.
Every time, best arm in the movie. It's the best throw made in the movie.
So the reason they put that scene in the movie is just to kind of show you what it was like at the time for African Americans. Is that kind of why?
Yeah, there was no way they were going to be allowed to be a part of the league.
Yeah.
They wanted to acknowledge that like these were not the best women that they had to choose from.
Right.
These are the best women who were allowed to play that people would come pay to see, or white people would come pay to see at the time.
Yeah.
So
if we're talking about the 1940s and marginalized social groups, obviously this movie is mostly about women, but you got to put a shout out to Jackie Robinson and the Negro Leagues into this too. And Penny Robinson knows her, or Penny Marshall, Penny Robinson, Penny Marshall knows her baseball.
Yeah.
It's way better. It's way better than The Sandlot thinking that James Earl Jones played on the Pirates
in the 1920s or 30s. Yeah.
Yes, way better. I had the Suds in the Bucket as what's aged the best. I was saving that for that, but we hit that already. And then my last what's aged the best is just Jimmy Dugan, which if we really want to unwrap his character now. He doesn't appear until 31 minutes into the movie, so you only get 90 minutes of him out of a 2-hour movie, which is pretty good. And it's like the introduction is just like so not Hanks. Like, are you still a fall down drunk? Only because I can't afford to be. And then he hurt his knee falling out of a hotel fire that he started. And he's just like, he's so good for the first like 30 minutes of being drunk, the pissing scene. I haven't got ball players, I've got girls. They're to sleep with after the game, not to play with.
His angle.
Awesome line. Ball players, I've got girls.
Yes. And And I love the like the serious moments you get with him too. Like there's some serious Saving Private Ryan foreshadowing where he's like, I can't go to war because I don't have cartilage in my knee, but you don't need cartilage to shoot Nazis. That's a great line. He's great in the delivery scene to Betty where he delivers the notice. The limp is like really pronounced in that scene, and he might be overdoing it, but I don't care because it like really adds to the drama.
Yeah.
I have that scene also as What's Age the Best. Like that scene is just like
it takes
incredible.
you back to that time, that what it might have been like to kind of experience something like that.
Because you forget all these things. You forget that the war is going on every once in a while. She never lets you forget for more than about 20 minutes at a time. But that's when it actually hits home the hardest. Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the way that Jimmy can go from like where we meet him to being able to like deliver that scene as like someone who cares about them is like pretty astounding. And it's only in like the span of like 45 minutes too.
And it builds him up as like
his arc of caring about the team is really good. From not giving a fuck whatsoever to finally starting to care out of spite with the sign game to the Betty Spaghetti scenes. Really nice.
Yes.
Yeah. By the way, I think Betty Spaghetti is Penny Marshall's niece?
Daughter.
Okay.
And she and Rob Reiner.
The only thing that didn't age the best about Jimmy Dugan for me was the plaque at the end said he lived from 1906 to 1987. And there's just no fucking way he's
not
making 81 years.
Not a chance.
Raging alcoholic.
I had that too.
You got to figure when the 60s and 70s come around, he's fallen off the wagon if he was even on the wagon.
My unanswerable question is, what was Jimmy's diet after the movie that got him to 81 years old?
Yeah.
That's a great call.
He does say at one point, he says, "You're killing me, Alice," which if we were talking about things that the Sandlot steals, not sure if they did it intentionally or not, but.
So that's a famous quote from a major league manager, right? Like, I think it was, I don't have it with me, but
from back then or more recent?
From like I think it's from like the 1940s. There was somebody on a major league manager or something like that who got caught on cameras like, "You're killing me. You're absolutely killing me." And I think they're making a callback to that. I don't think that's by accident. It's not an accident.
Interesting.
Okay. The last thing I have, and I'll open up to you guys, was the credits, which Jenna pointed out to me, was I love that they list them by position.
The roster.
They do it by lineup, which is, I've never seen a movie do that.
Yeah.
Since or before. It's awesome.
The title of the credits is cast roster.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a nice touch.
And it's over the actual old ladies who are balling out.
Yeah. Mark, what'd you have for Age the Best?
So first on my list was whoever did the casting for the older versions of all the players. I thought it was phenomenal. They all looked like looked like the same person had just aged 30 years. I thought that was phenomenal. I mean, I read that they dubbed Gina Davis's voice over older Dottie. So
yes, and
voice, but
and
still,
Lori Petty, yeah.
Oh, and Lori Petty, okay, yeah. But they still looked like the older versions of those people.
Like the opening scene from The Godfather, where they dubbed that guy's voice over.
Yeah,
even America.
So other than the older Dottie and older Kit, everybody else who's there of the women's side is an actual player from the original league.
Ooh,
yeah, so
that's
you could say they're well cast, but they're actually like the stars of the league. And the one woman who says like, "That's Dottie Henson. She was the best player in the league, or she only played 1 year." She was like someone who threw like 17 shutouts or something in like 5 years. Like,
yeah, she was one of the.
Yeah. So that's pretty. It's just a cool touch.
And then the other thing I had was maybe this doesn't belong in this category, but just Jimmy doing BP solo. That just looked like absolute heaven to me. Like, do they make pitching machines like that anymore that are just like automatic for one person.
I've still got them.
Do they still? I've never seen that before, like in person, but it just looks amazingly fun. Like with the lights on in that stadium, just taking BP on your own, drinking beers. Wow.
Cigs.
I don't know how much money I would pay to be able to do that. Or after this podcast is over. Can we find one of those machines and go and do that?
Should we start a business around that? We'll give you
because I'm sure we can find a lot of open space in New York City to do that. I had Tom Hanks's swing, and Tom Hanks just being able to do anything he wants at any given point in time. His age the best. Like, he can still do anything that he wants in a movie.
That's a good call. He does have a natural baseball swing.
It's not bad. This is the second best taking BP by yourself in the dark swing in baseball history, next to Bull Durham, where it also happens.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. And then the last thing I had was just sibling rivalries. They're timeless. Kit and Dottie, it still exists today. It's the age-old thing.
It's maybe the greatest, albeit the most annoying, little sibling complex ever portrayed in movies.
For sure.
Yeah. Yes.
Kid is the worst.
Certainly annoying. Andy, what do you got for what's age the best?
I got a few. So I had when Doris dumps Charlie on the bus, she looked around, like she's like, you're gonna be okay, and then she tears the picture up and she goes, look around, we're all okay. Like, that's a very 2019 2020 women's solidarity moment that happened 20 years earlier. It's really good.
So long, Charlie.
So long, Charlie. Yes,
So long, Charlie.
So long, Charlie. It's really good. Teaching Stillwell to close his eyes in the locker room, and then Stillwell doing this.
Yeah.
That's probably still happening all over the place today.
Totally.
Stillwell's a pretty good actor.
He's on my list for Dion Waiters. He's not going to win, but he's an honorable mention.
That's funny.
Doris's diamond chatter. Everything that she says on the field it's spot on. It's shit that you would hear in any infield anywhere in the world.
Yep.
That's a great call.
And it's all and the heightened intensity of her voice in the chatter in Game 7, that is exactly how it's so good.
Yeah.
It was perfectly done.
The Game 7 trash talking that's where you really even see it. They don't even unveil it really until Game 7, and then it's like 7 one-liners in a row after every pitch. It's great because she's the only one carrying you to the next pitch.
Well, it's that there's a lot of trash talking in that game too. That's perfect. One of the subtlest things that is amazing. It's a little thing that they did really well. Is May kicking the catcher's mask out of the way of the catcher when she's walking up the home plate? That is such a dick move. And only something that the biggest assholes in baseball do. Normally you're picking the catcher's mask up, picking up they got a rough job back there. It's 110 degrees. She kicks the mask further away from her, which is amazing. And Doris yelling at, she's like, "You're out, Brenda. You are out."
That's a great call. She was, I gotta say, I'm not a huge Rosie O'Donnell fan. She was phenomenal in this movie.
So good.
Really
She's
good.
Funny. She's got good lines. I mean, she adds to that intensity in Game 7, like you said.
She was a legit movie star in the early 90s. I feel like she was not never the lead role, but she's in a bunch of movies, and then she does her talk show, which was on top of the world, and then she just went off the deep end a little bit. Or maybe she didn't. Maybe she just chose to be more of her natural self. But she was she's freaking hilarious. She was a really funny comedian. She's awesome.
Yeah. I feel like she made a ton of money and then just, I don't know, decided to get out of limelight, raise a family.
She did stand-up comedy in between scenes to keep all the extras entertained during filming.
Oh, in the stands. That's
I also had the buses. In the time of COVID-19, how fucking cool! Like hipsters would love having access to those buses to turn them into some sort of like micro home.
That's true.
So
Yeah, I love that the league was failing, but like in the 1940s, like even for a failing league, like the attention to detail on something like a team bus is still like things were just done better, even if they weren't for like high priced things. Like they had like the painted team names in cursive on the side of the bus, like with like dirt in the skirt on the back of the Bell's bus, or like the front line said like Bell's bus, you know, like Peach's bus, like everything like back then, just like there was so much care, like and craftsmanship, like the pride, you like see that, and like a thing like a bus for like some shitty league that like people didn't even think was going to be a big deal.
Right. And you flash forward to 1987 with the Major League Indians team plane.
Yeah.
That piece of shit.
Yeah. But if that league was done, if the women's league was done today, you're right, they wouldn't take that level of care into branding the team bus, or you just wouldn't have that.
They'd be on a
right. That's a great point.
Follow.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't know that they were coming.
What else you got?
I got 3 more. The crazy idea at the beginning of the movie when Dottie's not wanting to go to Cooperstown. The crazy idea that the friends that you had a long time ago won't recognize nor like you. And it always turns out that people every time remember good times, no matter how long ago they happened. Like if you're ever worried about like hooking back up with friends from like 20, 30 years ago, like that idea, like the anxiety that you feel around like, well, no, they're not going to remember. This wasn't that big of a deal. You're always wrong.
Or that you think they're only going to remember bad things. Like, people, you only stress about those things. But
exactly.
Like people like forget about any stupid shit you might have said like 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's good.
Every single face that someone makes at Marla Hooch is aged extremely well. Like the first one from Lovitz, I'm not even gonna try because it's too perfect. Lovitz, the charm school teacher. What do you suggest? A lot of night games. The band leader at the Suds bucket, who's like making a reaction to her singing, he's like, oh. And after that, you get the antithesis of all that in the way that Nelson looks at Marla. It's amazing. It's amazing.
It's a great call.
The last one I had is baseball needing to do something flashy to get people to watch it again.
Very true.
Yes.
It is, yeah. Yep.
I don't even think this would get it done today. Poor baseball.
That's a good point. If they were able to come back now, though, God, everybody would be watching baseball. If just baseball came back.
Yeah, they needed a pandemic.
Yeah. What if we discovered that like only women weren't able to get COVID?
Everybody would watch the women's baseball.
We can't even watch men's baseball anymore. Let's age the worst for me. I only have 2 things written down, and there's 2 characters, and I hate them both with like so much passion. The first one I wrote in my notepad in the capital letters, K-I-T. I know against Lori Petty, the role was written like this, but she's annoying then, she's annoying now, she's a baby, she's whiny, she's unrealistically awful. I know she's a little sister and her big sister is good looking and all, but like she is unbearable for most of the movie. And I like want her off the team half the time. And I do appreciate that she scores the winning run because that just shows you even more how good of a person Dottie is. But like, I just fucking hate Kit.
What a rant.
She had no right to be mad when Dottie told Dugan to take her out of the game because she was losing her stuff. That game was to clinch a spot in the playoffs. And she lost her stuff, had given up a bunch of base runners and some runs. And Dottie says, take her out and bring in our closer to get in the playoffs. And she can't even celebrate the fact that they get in the playoffs. She throws a fucking hissy fit. She's not a team player at all. She's only about Kit. She is not about any winning. She's only about Kit getting credit for any wins that happen.
I don't think there's anything else to add. That was a phenomenal teardown of Kit.
I have no rebuttal. That was perfect.
I have more. Jenna pointed out the way that she writes her name on the chalk above her locker is like this childish, unrefined Kit. Everybody else has this gorgeous cursive, like elegant names, and she has just like Cat. My name's Cat.
I didn't pick up on that.
I think that's how you would pronounce that writing.
Yeah, Cat. When she's traded, she throws the ball through the window of a hotel and says, "You only traded me because I was getting too good." Oh yeah, that's why they traded you.
Not because you beat up one of your own players on the field 2 minutes that same day.
Yeah.
This in Game 7, she's crying in the middle of the game when she's due up because she blew it. Like, get a hold of yourself. She's a complete emotional wreck, and the fact that she's the hero of the movie, to me, I would have liked to have I get why they had to do it because of the sisters and whatever, but like someone else deserved to be the hero of this movie that was not Kit, because her character arc never grew. She never became a better person. She just got traded.
That's a really good. Is that she? Like, so one of my it's not unanswerable, but one of my unanswerable questions, because that's the only category that this fit in, was, does Kit deserve to win? And I think the answer is no. She does everything that you would want out of a teammate, especially on a baseball team, incorrectly. You don't. Nothing is about you. Baseball it's a very individual game. Like, what you do matters, but you don't take credit for anything. You take credit for your losses. You don't take credit for your wins. If you've ever heard anyone who's had a successful major league career speak to the press, they always just say, I got lucky, or I put a good swing on it. I was fortunate enough to get the bat on the ball. We're fortunate enough to come out with a win. It's never about them. She does everything wrong.
Yeah, totally. The state drops all charges. You guys, it's phenomenal.
Carried off the field, and it wasn't even a good move to run through the stop signs.
That's actually the perfect argument. She terrible base running in the most critical situation.
If we're in that dugout, if I'm in that dugout, I'm walking away from that game being like, Jesus Christ, we got fucking lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
My second character, who I cannot stand, and it pains me to say it because I love this man, Bill Pullman, but Bob is a sneaky dick. How the hell does he let Dottie leave for the World Series? Maybe he doesn't know that she's that good, but he's got to know that she's pretty good. She's playing in a professional baseball league that he came from. Wherever he gets shipped home from, he comes and there's oh, your wife's playing in this league. And he doesn't realize until Yellowstone National Park, where I think they're playing in Indiana in Game 6. And he's like, oh, you know what? We should probably turn around and let you go back. Jenna doesn't like when you first see him. He says, hiya, cutie. Dottie is not a cutie. She's way too elegant. She's probably a baby or a sweetheart, or she's not hiya, cutie. You don't say hiya, cutie to 6'1", she towers over him.
How tall is Gina Davis?
6'1".
I don't know.
Is she 6'1"?
And then he can't. And then
6 feet tall.
He can't even drive. She's got to drive home the whole way because he got shot. Whatever. He's a hero. Whatever. He's the greatest generation. But just he's got the man crush on Jimmy Dugan. That's not even enough to let her stick around. It's just, you would think that he would be World Series, can we stay 7 more days? No, we got to get back.
That's a picking note for me. Why they had to get out of there, in the middle of the World Series, I don't understand.
I have an alternate explanation for why they left. And it's Dottie doesn't realize how much she loves baseball until they get to Yellowstone National Park, right? Like, this is the conflict that she's in the whole time. Bob has no idea what's going on. He's been fighting the Nazis for 3 years.
Okay.
Why would he care about some baseball league outside in the suburbs of Chicago in southeastern Wisconsin? Why would he care? He got shot in the leg by a sniper. And then he comes back. He doesn't know. Like, I'm sure he's not looking at like the stat lines from all the games in the paper. He wants to see his wife that he hasn't seen in 3 years. I'll tell you what the biggest dick move of this is, though. It's because Dottie didn't tell him how important it was. He comes back. She's going to realize what she thought she was going to realize at the beginning of the movie. They're going to go back to Oregon and start having babies. Here's the dick move. I did some research on the car that he drove in. It's got a designation on either the front or the back of the car that means that it's a fuel ration vehicle. They got to drive from Chicago to Oregon. The rationing on the code that's designated by the code on the car means that they can only put 4 gallons of gas in the car at a time. It's going to take them like 4 years to get to Oregon.
And they make it all the way to Yellowstone.
Yeah. In what is that? In what, like 6 games of the World Series would be? They probably played back-to-back days. It'd be a 6.
Well, there was probably a playoffs too that she missed all of, right? We don't know what. Do you think it was just the pennant like back then? I don't know how the playoffs worked. Yeah, I guess.
No, the game. So the game that Bill comes back the night after the night of Betty Spaghetti's husband dying, George dying. That game gets them to the World Series. Because there's only 4 teams, right?
Yeah. Yes. Okay. All right. So I guess what's aged the worst for me isn't Bob. It's just that the leaving angers me so much.
Yeah, I think what aged poorly is Penny Marshall's ability to write romance into a movie.
Well,
high acuity. Yeah.
That's pretty bad.
But it sounds like initially she was pushing for Jimmy and Gina Davis to get together. So I don't know when that was put aside. Like, I mean, maybe that was her initial intention. I don't know.
I'm sorry. It's Lowell Gantz and Babalu Mandel who wrote the screenplay. Sorry, Penny Marshall.
She's just directing.
That's all I had for what's aged the worst. I had those 2 things I was very passionate about, so you guys can take over from here.
That was a phenomenal rant.
I got a few. I don't even think I want to say mine now.
Did either of you write down Kit, or no? Am I the only one who hates Kit this much?
She's in a different category for me.
Okay.
Do you have anything, Mark?
Yeah, sorry, I do. I do have a couple. One, I just thought girls playing baseball in skirts, not really practical. I read that apparently all the bruises that they were shown in the movie were actually real from them actually playing, which I thought was interesting. And the other one I had was the closing credit song, Madonna's song at the end. I think it's terrible. This used to be my playground. That just has no fitting in the movie at all. It seems so out of place.
Yeah.
It's like this cheesy, seems like it's from the 80s song. I know it's the 90s, but it just sounds terrible.
Is it time to talk about Madonna now?
Sure. No, just the song.
Okay, all right. I mean, if
song.
For where we're gonna go later, it makes sense that the song's fucking terrible and has nothing to do with the movie.
I think I mentioned the song briefly whenever we were talking about something else, but it's terrible. And I hear it sometimes when it comes on like a 90s on 9 channel, and I'm like, oh, it's a fucking song from League Your Own. This song is blood. This used to be my playground. It's not catchy. It's slow. It's terrible. She clearly like wrote it to force it into the soundtrack of this movie and try and make a buck off of it. I don't know who wrote it. I don't know how many songs she even wrote herself.
Right. Madonna helped write the song.
She did help write it. Okay, it's terrible.
Yeah, really bad.
Yeah, that was all I had, though.
I had the pinned on hats look terrible.
What do you mean pinned on?
They're pinned on the back of their heads. Look at the
Oh,
next.
are they really? I didn't pick up on that.
They're like sitting on the back of their heads like this. It looks like shit.
But don't you think that's because of their hair?
Yeah, but they could have done something different with it. You could have gone ponytail through the back of the cap. That's still a good look.
Okay.
The promotional effort of catch a foul, get a kiss, I don't think would work nowadays.
Yeah, but it's the 40s.
Yeah,
right.
I get it.
Like all of these are like in the theme of sexism. I know that we'll talk about it in a minute, but like the fact that it's a woman writing a movie in the 90s about the 40s and turning all the sexism that's in this movie into something that is recognized and shown and yet made fun of at the same time. We don't have to say, like, I think the commentary on it has aged really well, but the ideas that they came up with back in the 40s to get people to baseball games, that's pretty rough. Not going to work today.
Yeah.
Just like etiquette class probably has aged pretty poorly. And
yeah,
that Helen Haley is an accomplished coffee maker and her stat line.
And she's pouring the coffee for the umps.
Yeah.
I love the charm school though. Like I just love like the look of that woman, like the gracefully and grandfully.
That's a good scene.
And then don't slurp. I used to say don't slurp as a kid to people who would slurp.
The lady reveals nothing.
How hard? By the way, how hard is it to not slurp? You hear a lot of slurping in that scene.
I mean, you hear a lot of slurping today too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Interestingly, what's aged the worst? Cone bras on everyone except Madonna. Them well into the 80s.
Interesting.
And I think this one has aged the worst. The plan to get around institutionally appointed chaperones by straight up poisoning them, I think probably not going to hold up these days.
The chaperone takes a lot of abuse because the bus driver slaps her at one point, right?
Does he slap her?
Slaps her in the ass and non-consensually makes out with her and verbally abuses her throughout the entire movie. Poor Mr.
Dugan.
This cousin is a rough go.
Yeah, poor chaperone. Wow. You got any others for which way is the worst?
No. Poisoning chaperone. I'm going to end with poisoning chaperones.
I gotta say, Mike's rant on those two characters is just phenomenal. Wow.
Very bad. You should see how much of my notes are dedicated. Like, I must have just been on a typing a rampage about. I had like 10 paragraphs on Kit that I had to summarize there for you guys.
I could see you like typing. I don't know if you typed it up, but like just typing.
I did.
Angrily, like just like
so many capital letters.
I'm not gonna. I had a half a page written about Kit. I'm not gonna say any of it because Mike. That was perfect.
We did the director's chair last time, but I wanted to just touch on Penny Marshall briefly, even though we've sung her praises already. This was the first movie directed by a woman to gross more than $100 million at the box office.
I like that.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Her credits are few and far between, but she did Big, this, and Renaissance Man. And I love all of those movies. Renaissance Man, I know most people haven't seen it with Danny DeVito.
I love that movie.
I cry every time I watch it. It's really funny. It's got a great cast.
It's Pauly Shore too, right?
No, you're thinking of In the Army Now.
Okay. But no, Renaissance Man is great too because he's like the teacher at some army school.
At the military academy. Great. Yeah. She also did The Preacher's Wife with Denzel and Whitney Houston. And she did Riding in Cars with Boys with Drew Barrymore and Steve Zahn, also good. For someone who like rose to fame as like she kind of followed that like Ron Howard path. Like she was on Laverne and Shirley as like a young person, and then became this like pretty good director.
You want to?
I would have liked her to see direct more, to be honest. But
we want to. We want to talk about Ron Howard for a second. There's a cool Ron Howard link in this movie too.
Yeah.
So.
What?
Ron. So the guy who plays their father. I think this is also a really good metaphor for Kit while we're on Kit. When they're in the kitchen right before they leave for Chicago, her mother yells into the kitchen and goes, "Kit, would you keep your voice down? Your father's trying to listen to the radio." I think that line in and of itself could just be a metaphor for Kit's character. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, that guy listening to the radio, I think is Ron Howard's father.
Oh.
There's a lot of like interconnected Hollywood people showing up in this movie to do favors for Penny Marshall, Rob Reiner, Ron Howard. So Bill Pullman did his role just as a favor to Penny Marshall. He wasn't supposed to be cast as Bill or as Bob. Sorry.
That's interesting because I know you brought up The Departed earlier. I know like a lot of the guys did that movie because of Martin Scorsese, even though they weren't necessarily the feature role. Maybe that's like why everybody just appreciated Penny Marshall. You know, I'm willing to do like a bit role in this movie, kind of similar to Departed. Like they just did like kind of bit roles in a sense. That's interesting. I didn't realize she was that popular.
I can't find Ron Howard's dad's name, but whatever. That's a cool tidbit.
Mr. Howard.
I have nothing else to say on this category.
Segue. His name is Rance Howard.
Got it.
Rance?
Rance. Yeah.
How do you spell that?
RANCE.
Interesting. Somebody bring that back.
He's well connected to Penny Marshall, and Gary Marshall, who plays Henry Lowenstein, is Penny's brother.
Yes.
That's a casting what if too. There's a lot of people that were considered for that role.
Well, let's talk casting what ifs because there's a lot of them. There's a lot of rumors out there in the internet. I don't know what to believe. I know that Gina Davis was a late replacement for Deborah Winger just a few days before filming was about to start. I like Deborah Winger, Officer and a Gentleman, Terms of Endearment, Forget Paris, but she doesn't really scream catcher to me.
You know who was before Deborah Winger?
So I have originally the role was offered to Brooke Shields. Laura Dern was involved at one point. Demi Moore backed out because she was pregnant. And Penny Marshall said that Bruce Willis literally screwed her out of the part. All of these actors, I can't imagine in that. I guess Demi could have done it because, like, what she does in G.I. Jane, she seems pretty athletic. She's done on stunts in some movies. But like, I can't see Laura Dern's in Jurassic Park after this. She could have been good at this. Yeah. Brooke Shields.
Good running scene from Laura Dern in Jurassic Park.
Yeah, she's got good speed. She's got good foot speed.
I think she would have been actually fine. I read, I don't know if you're still going, but I read Jim Belushi as Jimmy Dugan.
Yeah.
Which I can't see that going well.
Terrible.
This is not the second best baseball movie of all time. Belushi as
And the only hesitation with Jimmy as Tom was that he was too young because he's based off of Jimmy Fox, who was like a drunk hitter who bashed 500 homers.
I thought it was Hank Greenberg.
It's a mixture, but it's mostly Jimmy Fox, though.
Oh, okay. So it's an amalgam, just like Dottie Henson's an amalgam for a number of players in that league. Okay.
Yes. But I guess like Penny justified it being like he just has to be injured and drunk, and washed up, not old, which they justify by saying he tore his knee falling out of a hotel room, which could have happened at any age.
Which they address right away. Like the first time that you see him walk in, Eddie Spaghetti's looking at the baseball card and then looks at Jimmy and has trouble reconciling that they're the same person.
Yeah. Do you think that any of those other Dotties would have been better? It's hard to picture anybody else.
Not better, but I think Laura Dern would have been okay. I feel like she's got the height. I don't know, some athleticism. She could have, and she's pretty. Like that could have worked.
I think Laura Dern would be great.
Demi Moore, I don't know. I'm not. I don't see it, but
it sounds like Gina was like just really good at baseball because the rest of the cast practiced for months. Apparently, she only had a couple weeks, and she just like crushed it. And apparently, like crushed her co-stars and like all the scenes where they had to do their own stuff. Like That's her throwing a seed to second base.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way you could. The way they shot that, there's no way you could fake it. They didn't like do the classic like throw and then cut. It's shot from behind the plate, and you see her throw it all the way to second base in one cut. There's no way. There's no like Hollywood magic there. Like, she threw that ball.
I wonder if that was her. I know that the only other thing that she didn't do, she could do the splits. So that's her doing the splits in the pose when she catches the ball. But
she didn't do the live split.
Slide. There was a male stunt double who did the slide for her.
I did read that when there's like that foul ball, fly ball, where she catches it behind her back, that they tried to have the stunt double do it, and the stunt double, I guess, couldn't execute it, and she actually did it. So whether that's true or not, I don't know. That's kind of interesting, though.
The ball is clearly coming from about 3 feet above her head when she just dropped it from above the camera angle.
Still impressive nonetheless. Yeah.
Not easy to do.
Hank said he gained 30 pounds by eating a Dairy Queen to gain the weight for this movie. He doesn't even look that fat, to be honest.
Fuck you, Tom Hanks. Even the way you gain weight is likable. Like, you give a shout out to an Americana classic. Fuck off, Tom Hanks.
Penny wanted Christopher Walken to play Harvey, but settled for her brother. You mentioned her daughter's Betty Spaghetti. Farrah Fawcett really wanted to be in this movie, but Marshall thought she was too old.
Ouch.
Marissa Tomei filmed an audition tape on the set of My Cousin Vinny while being coached by Joe Pesci.
For what, May?
For just a role. Apparently, she wasn't good enough of a ball player, according to Penny Marshall, but I want to see that tape.
Yeah, definitely. I want to see Joe Pesci coaching someone to play baseball.
Molly Ringwald was considered for the role of Kit. But apparently Lori Petty was just like a really badass athlete, and that's what like won it over in the end. Which you can tell. She's really good.
An amazing athlete, and this sets her up. I just love that we get to talk about Point Break for 1 second. This sets her up for her role in Point Break, where she's
the only other good movie she's been in.
You can only do so much before people realize that you're really annoying.
Did you guys read that she was originally supposed to be in Demolition Man for Sandra Bullock's part? But
oh no, that would have been terrible.
The movie, I guess she was like on the set, and there was creative differences, is what I read, and she got booted.
Did she cry when she didn't get her way?
I don't know what happened.
They only replaced me because I was acting too good.
If she left the set because the director refused to carry her off, have the rest of the cast carry her off the field at the end of Demolition Man.
Interesting what ifs, though.
Madonna, not casting, but apparently she was supposed to be the third baseman at first, and she wasn't good enough, so they had to move her to the outfield. She really struggled with the whatever. Apparently, there's rumors that she was very unhappy on the set and miserable most of the time, but she did form a great relationship with Rosie. But she did not enjoy being around everybody else.
I mean, I don't know what kind of star she was at the time. I guess she was a huge star. So
pretty big, yeah.
What goes into
she's
that.
She's on the front of the movie. She's on the billboard movie cover.
Yeah.
With a smaller. Yeah, she hated it. She wrote letters to like all of her friends saying that Chicago is a cesspool. There's no attractive people here. I have to hang out with women instead of men. She did not enjoy being on set.
Just like your character.
Yeah.
Which makes me. She kicked the catcher's mask ad-libbed without even knowing what baseball move it is.
If she did, amazing.
I fucking hate this girl.
I think that's all the casting what ifs that I found. I don't know if anybody found any other ones, but it was pretty deep.
I've also found, which would have been a very interesting 1-2 punch with Gina Davis. Moira Kelly was supposed to was rumored to have been cast for Kit.
Who's Moira Kelly? Why can't I?
The lead actress in The Cutting Edge.
You know who she is. She was the casting what if actually in Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Oh, right. Okay.
Or no.
Yep.
No,
For who?
I'm sorry. No. She was a cat. She was supposed to be the mom in The Sandlot. I knew she was one of our movies. I got it mixed up.
Yeah. I knew.
Yeah.
We talked about her then.
Yeah. Okay.
I heard Sally Field also rumored for Dottie.
I did not see that. That wouldn't have made sense.
That wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
Considering she plays Tom Hanks's mom a year later in Forrest Gump.
Nah, that wouldn't work. Half-assed internet research. We've touched on a lot of this.
Yeah.
The main person that Dottie was based on was Dottie Kamenchek, who was a 7-time All-Star, all-time leader in hits and total bases. She struck out only 81 times in 3,736 at-bats, which I thought was worth shouting out to Dottie Kamenchek.
It's like Tony Gwynn numbers.
Yeah. All the injuries were real, including that disgusting thigh bruise that I forget who has it, but like if they hand to it and then Alice it's just that's real.
I read that that thing lasted for almost a year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Crazy. Look bad.
In real life, the girls of the AAGPBL, which is very hard to say, were actually sent to charm school back in the day. And they all had makeovers before the first game. The film portrays the league as initially unpopular and unprofitable until using demeaning gimmicks used to attract male audiences. In reality, the league was popular from the start and profitable. It was mostly played in the Midwest towns who had no way of watching live baseball other than the Cubs. A lot of these teams are based in like Indiana and Wisconsin. The league was doing well up until the advent of televised baseball. Men's baseball kind of made it not as popular, and the need for it kind of went away there.
Yeah, it wasn't about everything that I read said that it had nothing to do with whether or not there were women playing. It had everything to do with the amount of baseball people could watch, men or women, from their homes instead of going to the ballpark.
Yeah. During the filming, Lori Petty threw more pitches than most major leaguers do in an entire season.
Wow.
Her and Rosie O'Donnell could consistently hit the ball out of the ballpark themselves with no help from anybody else. Like they did, yeah. They were both really good, apparently. Rosie apparently was a really good hitter too.
Are they using 1943 baseballs? They mixing them up, and then are they 92 baseballs?
That's a good call.
That's an important point. If they're hitting balls out, if they're hitting balls out with balls made in the dead ball era, that is.
Wait, sorry, my knowledge on this, is the 40s considered a home run era? I didn't realize that.
No.
Oh, it's the opposite. Okay, you're talking about 90s.
We don't actually know how big the ballparks were that they filmed in either. They could have just been hitting them out whatever they did. You
don't believe the writing on the walls? You don't believe there's 315 down the line, 360 to the power gap? 410
probably
is there's a 410 sign out there somewhere.
Yeah.
It's a bomb.
In reality of the league ran from 1943 to 1954. The Peaches won 4 titles, the Bells won 2, and the theme song that they sing is the same. Which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's very cool. Very cool.
All right. Andy, I think we can do the Wives Club now.
We skipped the 10. I thought that we were actually going to end. There was part of me that thought that you were actually going to start humming the theme song at some point during this podcast. And I think we just missed the prime opportunity. I think that may have been the best chance I had.
Sorry.
I had just one other thing to add to half-assed internet research.
Go for it.
That I just randomly read recently was that in the movie they portray as Mr. Harvey, the owner of the Harvey bars, starting the league. But I guess in reality it was Mr. Wrigley, the owner of chewing gum.
I wrote this down on What's Age the Worst. Looking back, you got to think that the Wrigley family is mad they didn't authorize the go-ahead here, right?
Oh, so you think that's why they weren't included? You think they just didn't want to?
They didn't have the rights. They
Yeah,
didn't want to pay
it's
for
a
it.
terrible business decision. Yeah.
They had to call it Harvey Field. We all know
Yeah.
it's Wrigley Field. We're looking right at it.
You see that?
Yeah, you really get it narrowed down when you got Ivy on the outfield fence.
No, it's just like you don't have the rights for that stuff. Like the
Yeah.
family has to sign off on that, or they have to get paid. And they probably
Right.
were like, they didn't. Chewing gum was a big thing, and still in the '90s. I don't know how good Wrigley's doing to this day, but
Yeah. It's interesting.
looking back on it, it's a bad decision.
I don't see a whole lot of Doublemint ads going on the TV.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that was the only thing I had. So we going to Wives Club? Is that what you said?
Yeah, just some thoughts that Jenna wrote down during the movie. I've shared with you some of them already. There were 3 things written down in capital letters. Chewing tobacco is disgusting.
There's a woman.
OMG, the bus driver slapped the chaperone. And cone-shaped bras. All things we've touched on briefly.
Totally.
Those are only things written in capital letters. Jenna loves the Lukash dairy uniforms in the beginning and wants the ones that they're wearing in the first game that they play at home.
Oh, in Oregon?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are cool.
Her big unanswerable, has Tom Hanks ever played someone so unlikable as Jimmy Dugan in the beginning?
Ooh.
Caveat, just in the beginning.
Just in the beginning, yeah.
I mean, his Road to Perdition role isn't great.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like I always end up rooting for Tom Hanks. Like, he's just so goddamn likable.
He straight up murders like 9 people in Road to Perdition.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
But even then, I don't know. Still.
But by the end,
yeah,
I think he's a better person by the end of Road to Perdition than he is at the end of A League of Their Own. The swings are great.
Jimmy Dugan might be the worst character he's ever played.
That's an interesting, deep question.
It's
I gotta
good
think about that. Yeah, unanswerable.
And then she had some thoughts on other characters who just I don't even pay attention to the other characters. Ellen Sue is just eye candy. We know she can throw, but they don't develop her character at all, and she would like to know more.
That's a fair criticism. Yeah.
And she wrote, does Evelyn ever do anything good for the team besides the song? No, is the answer.
Yeah.
I think Evelyn puts one of the best swings of the movie on the ball. She fucking ropes one to left field at one point. And she's the cutoff man. Well, actually, that play doesn't matter because they end up losing the game on it.
Yeah, maybe the swing looks pretty, but
no, she's the LVP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good call.
Final thought, which would not have, I would have thought this during this scene. She wrote, I was very stressed during the Charm and Beauty school, wondering what they would have told me to fix.
That's awesome. I feel like anybody, even with males.
Oh, that is so good.
That's great.
These are all very, very Jenna thoughts too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very on point for Jenna.
Good job.
That's great. So I just sent Jessie all the categories, and while we were watching the movie, she was really good at pointing out some incredible quotes that I'd never even noticed that were under the radar. And normally, I love taking quotes that are under the radar and making the movie not about it's there's no crying in baseball, right? Like what gets overshadowed. She brought out some incredible ones, a lot of night games is good, but it's she really loves that line. She loves, and it's in the dirt, ball one. All the announcer quotes she brought that up to me. Another great Jimmy Dugan one when they're waiting to start a game. He goes, "Let's go, girls. Dozens of people are waiting for the game to start."
Wow, I did not pick up on that.
And She also had we haven't gotten there yet, but she had Stillwell for the Dion Waiters Award. Like who does the most with the least amount of screen time?
Yeah, that's fair.
And her hottest take of the movie, and the one that I laugh at that no one else outside of this group will understand, is in the beginning of the movie when Kit strikes out, like John Lovitz is supposed to be there scouting all of the players there. Kit strikes out. He's just sitting in the stands laughing at the girl who struck out. And Jesse goes, Lovitz reminds me of Nermal sitting in the stands and laughing maniacally at people failing.
Also, she strikes out on 3 of the worst pitches imaginable to start.
So
they aren't even like close to being strikes, and they're so slow. And she's swinging. She's like 10 feet away from the ball on those ones. Oh, that's great. That's good.
That's funny.
Mark, did you watch this alone? Did you watch it with your mom or your sister? And
yeah,
did they have any other?
Mom, sister, niece, but yeah, I wasn't prepared for the wives club category.
That's fine. I don't know if anyone exude like had any like sometimes you just like can't help but speak that like stuck out to you.
Yeah, I'm sure they did. I didn't take note of it though. So
like when Gina Davis pops up at the end, like Jenna gasped, even though she's seen the movie before. Like
I'm curious what I thought the first time I saw it. If I was like, oh my god, she's coming back. Like I don't know. Curious if I actually.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. The Joey Pants That Guy Award. For me, it's David Strathairn. I don't ever remember his name.
I had him number 2 on my list.
I don't think he's like that well known. Like he's Blackjack Foley in Billions. He's in the Bourne movies, a couple of them. He's in We Are Marshall.
We should set up. I mean, David Strathairn is Ira Lowenstein, the guy who tries to keep the league going.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good call.
Yeah.
Sorry. I just think he's like a guy I always know his face. I every time I see him, I'm like, oh, I love this guy. But I never have his name on the tip of my tongue. Yeah.
He is excellent in Good Night and Good Luck. He's
Edward Murrow. Yeah.
He's in The River Wild, which you can talk about as much as you want. That movie is terribly fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he's on my radar too much for him to be that guy.
But so is Joey Pants too for me.
Yeah.
But what's great is he's never a star, right? He's never been the lead of a movie that we've ever seen.
Right.
So that's why he's the perfect that guy.
Closest he got.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
you still think of Clooney when you think of that movie. You don't think of David Strathairn.
He to me is I have a comparable. There's a comparable actress with David Strathairn that my buddy Ted and I talk about a lot. We think that he, along with Allison Janney, everything that they're in, everything that David Strathairn and Allison Janney are in, they make better. There's no movie that they've been in that has been like a complete flop, and they're always incredible in everything that they do.
Yeah, the only difference is that Allison Janney is like been nominated for multiple awards, both Emmy and Oscar, and won and Globes and won stuff. He doesn't even get that.
He's definitely lower on the list of this category, but he's
I think Allison Janney would be annoyed if you were like, I think you're the David Strathairn of women's acting. She'd be like, I'm pretty big fan.
David Strathairn is a low level Allison Janney.
Okay, low level.
But they have the same. She's way better, clearly more accomplished, clearly better. But they do the same things in a lot of the same movies. They enhance everything around them.
Strathairn got nominated, I think, for some movie for Academy Award. I can't remember what.
It was probably Good Night and Good Luck.
Probably.
Yeah. They're like Steve Nash.
Who are your guys? That guy.
I had Mark Holton, who plays the older Stillwell.
Nice.
So that's Chubby from Teen Wolf, and he's in the Pee Wee Herman movies. He's in the Pee Wee Herman movies.
That's really good.
He's that guy for me.
Wow, that's a good one.
For number 2. So.
All right. Wow, that's a nice poll.
Really good.
What do you got, Andy?
I had Walter Harvey, Gary Marshall, who's Penny Marshall's brother. He's in a lot of stuff, and you'd never recognize. But he's you see him and you're like, that guy. I've seen that guy in 100 things.
Yeah.
Eddie Jones.
I just know him. Yeah.
Yeah, Eddie Jones is David Hooch, Marla's dad. He's the bouncer from Sneakers, which is going to be our next one. And Jesse had Doris fan number 2, one of the brothers.
Yes,
Joey.
I have this guy right here. I don't know if you can see.
Joey.
Yeah.
I have him.
Yeah.
I was about to I had his picture ready to show you guys.
Wait, why do I know him? I know that face.
He was in that show Working with Fred Savage when we were growing up. He's always like the other like bit guy and like the sitcom. Like he's always like does little stints on sitcoms or like other shows. He's in Marvelous Mrs. Maisel for like a couple episodes.
That's funny.
If you look at his IMDb, it's pretty hilarious. He's in like a lot of crap.
What a
had
cast.
So David Lander, who is the nerdy announcer who goes, "Whoa, doctor." That guy who's been in a bunch of stuff. He's Squiggy from Laverne and Shirley. That was where Penny Marshall obviously was Laverne.
Yes.
He's that guy. And then my favorite one, the one that really got me, and I only saw it in this last rewatch, was Gregory Sporletter. He's the guy at the beginning of the movie that has a love interest in Kit. He's the crazy guy. The crazy sergeant from The Rock, who ends up eating the pearl of the VX gas.
Yeah, he's also in Renaissance Man with Penny Marshall. This is probably where he met her.
That's the connection.
He's also in Twister. He's the right-hand man of Carrie Ilways, I think. Like he's part of the bad crew in Twister.
Great bad guy.
Yeah, he's got that like flat top face. Yeah, that's a good one. Gregory Sporletter. Wow.
Really punchable face.
What a cast. I mean, these are like so periphery, these roles. And
he's got a nothing part, and everyone in the movie has already recognized that this guy is going to be a bad guy in movies. He's one step up from a pig. It's an important step.
Yeah. Jesus.
We're jumping back a category. Jenna, you want to clarify something that I said earlier?
Overshadows what he said next, which is, can't believe no one ever called you that before.
Oh, she says when he says, did anyone ever tell you you look like a penis with a little hat on? The laughter that ensues after that overshadows the next line where he says, I can't believe no one ever called you that before.
That's a good point.
All right. The overacting they knew award. It's only one option for me in this opinion, and it's Madonna. What am I supposed to do? Go back to taxi dancing? 10 cents for some slob so he can sweat gin all over me? I'm never doing that again. So you can go back and tell rich Mr. Chocolate, man, he ain't closing me down.
That's a great impression.
That was good.
That was good. That's a really good
impression. I actually think she's pretty good in the movie, but she's awful in that scene. Just awful.
We're gonna fight about this.
Okay. I'm not going to argue that she's ever that great. I'm just saying, like, compared to that scene, her acting doesn't like distract me. Whereas where she does that rant, I'm like, this is not good and distracting.
But she's only overdoing it once. A lot of the other time, like, she's doing some pretty cool stuff. Like the subtle walk through the locker room when Jimmy's peeing with just that like curious kind of turned on face. Like, she does a lot of good stuff.
Oh, so you're saying she's good in the rest of the movie. I agree. I'm just saying this one particular scene is the They Knew Award. She's terrible in this one scene.
Well,
the rest, she's good.
I preface that there's a couple of scenes where she's good because there is one person who is not good ever and constantly overdoing it, and it's Lori Petty.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
She is, it's not even close. She is bringing the toddler whining in every single fucking scene that she's in. Like, I said before, like, keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio is a metaphor for the whole character. Like, just shut up.
Jeez.
Yeah, I guess I just attribute it more to the character than Lori Petty, but I guess Lori Petty deserves some blame too.
I mean, if we're picking just scenes, I feel like I would have went with Evelyn for the There's No Crying in Baseball scene. I feel like she's not convincing as somebody who's crying. I don't know. She's like, no. Like, I don't know. It's just not believable.
Yeah, that's
She's
good
really
too.
good.
overacting her. I don't know.
You could also give it to Hanks. He's really going after it in a lot of too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, he is giving 110% into like the Hangover, getting angry,
Yeah.
kid in the face with a baseball glove and getting really excited about it.
Yeah, but it's Tom Hanks.
It's gotta be Lori Petty.
Okay,
Right.
that's fair. Consistently throughout the movie. Yes, that's fine.
That's consistency. I think there's one-offs, whether it's Madonna or
Yeah.
Evelyn. Yeah, that's fair.
I also wrote down in parentheses next to my Madonna thing. I don't know why I put this here. I go, also, she bangs a priest at some point in the church, they insinuate.
I don't know if they.
She comes out of the confessional with the priest.
No,
separate,
not what happened.
Separate booths. I don't know how many times he went to confession.
She gets the priest to drop the Bible because he's so shocked at what she has to.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought they were just like going at it in there. All right, I misunderstood that as a child. Carried through all the way.
He was so shocked.
Yeah. I get it now.
Wait, was the last time you watched this movie when you were a child?
No, but like sometimes I just like don't pay attention to scenes that, like, because I, you know what I mean.
Mike
Keep it
didn't have to go to
right
confession
in
that much.
It's like Toe Jam. Dion Waiters heat check. It's obviously Lovitz. I just wanted to decide who the second heat check award was. And for me, it's, you mentioned as that guy, but I love Gary Marshall. I think he brings it. Like, I love when you first meet him, he's like, Jimmy, these are my in-laws. Hello. They can't hear me. He's just like so over the top. Like, his smile is over the top. Like, it feels like he's struggling to talk with his dentures. Like, I just love the energy that he brings to the movie and every scene that he's in. Yeah. He's just a funny guy.
Yeah.
Hello. They don't
I'm
hear nothing.
they're paying them to look nice, you know, like on everything that he said.
It's great. It's really good.
I had
Stillwell's good. Yeah.
I had two honorable mentions. I had the announcer. I think he's just great. He's just great announcer. Whoa, doctor.
Oh,
Just
doctor.
couple of spots. He's just great announcing games. And then shout out to the dads in the movie, both Marla's dad and Doris's dad, who I think is pretty funny in his 2-minute bit. So yeah, I'm taking my daughter out for a steak dinner.
That's one of my nitpicks. Is their dad. They've got Penny Marshall grew up in the Bronx. She grew up in the Bronx. They couldn't find a better actor from Staten Island to play this fucking guy. Like, Doris
That's
is
not a bad
amazing.
point.
And we get 2 scenes, like literally 2 lines where this guy's like, stone face, that's my daughter in there. She's apparently a pretty good ball player. I'm going to take her out for a steak dinner afterwards. Like,
You think he's that stone face? I think
he's watch it again. He's terrible.
He's not great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like from that came Rosie O'Donnell's Doris, who is a fucking spitfire, amazing character. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I think we're sleeping on Marla Hooch for Dion Waiters too.
That's fair.
Oh.
I thought about it. Yeah.
I think,
But she doesn't do much.
It had to be you.
She doesn't speak much, but when she does, it's, I don't know, memorable. Yeah.
You're never watching Marla where you're not interested. Yeah, right. Hi, Daddy.
Yeah.
You're like, she's sweet when she needs to be. She does exactly what that part is asking of her, is to be unassuming, unattractive, but a fucking powerhouse, and you give her, what is it, a dress and a whole lot of liquor, and she turns it on. And
Yeah.
I love Megan Cavanaugh and everything that she does. I think she also gives another great Dion Waiters performance in Robin Hood Men in Tights as
Totally.
Brunhilde.
Totally.
Everything
Yeah.
she says in that movie is fucking hilarious. I don't want to sleep on her.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good. I'm
I
glad
think
she got a
it's-
shout out.
Love it's number one for sure. The 2 spot it's debatable, but I would put Marla and who's the other one you said, Mike?
Gary Marshall.
Yeah, Gary Marshall. I think those are.
Just
Well-
him saying hello is what gets me.
Hello.
It's almost like Uncle Leo. Hello.
Yeah.
Did they mention that he's actually from New York in the movie
No.
at any point? Because that's not a Chicago accent.
No. He's not even trying to fake it
Yeah.
though, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
No one really is.
I think there's. I had a thought and I just lost it. Keep going. I'll come back to this.
Okay. I mean, picking nits. I think even Andy and I have been texting about this. We don't really have a lot of nits to pick. I've sounded off on most of these already. The only one I wrote that I didn't mention was there no trade deadline that Kit could get traded right before the World Series after the season had ended?
That's a good one. I also, I mean, surely not. This started 3 weeks.
Yeah.
4-team league. You're worried about this?
I have a question that that builds on that. Though, is who did the Peaches get in the Kit trade?
I don't even think they
Great
cared.
question.
They might have gotten like a couple hamburgers.
But
Yeah.
I don't know if I
Baseballs.
watched it closely enough. Do we see them get a couple of hamburgers? Do we see a different player on the roster or in the dugout at any point during the game?
No.
Not that I can
Okay.
think of. I mean, I didn't look closely though.
It could have been a player to be named later for next
Yeah.
season.
Bucket of seeds.
That's really not intentionally walking Dottie, we rehashed, and Bob letting Dottie leave. That's it. Yeah. The baseball is pretty good.
Yeah, I agree with that.
The baseball is amazing.
Yeah. I have a fair amount of nitpicks. I don't know if you have some. I'm happy to go back and forth with you.
Yeah, go. You want to go 1 for 1?
Yeah.
Do it.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. So first off, when Kit and Dottie first go to the tryout, I think Doris and May say, "There's only 100 girls here, and only 64 are going to make the team." That's great odds. If you look at it, it's like, I mean, you have literally I don't know what the percentage is. It's
Well, there's
percentage.
64 people, Mark, and there's
Yeah.
100 people there. So what are the odds, man?
So 64% of people
Yeah.
are going to make the team. Like, that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, I read in actuality there's actually 280 players and 60 players going to make the team, but still,
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
that's phenomenal odds. A little nitpick there.
Do we think that it was just Doris making a blind shot in the dark of how many people were in the stadium? Did
Yeah,
she
it
really
could be.
know how many people were there?
Yeah.
That
Maybe.
could be. Yeah, that could be.
There's 100 people. She's a dock worker from Staten Island. Probably not.
A bouncer.
Yeah, and a bouncer at a nightclub. Dottie's first bomb that wins him the game is clearly an infield pop-up.
You always pick up on the sight lines of the batters.
I've done it enough to know, like, they're just so apparently they played a bunch of random, like, unscripted innings during filming so that they could take whatever shots that they wanted and kind of build them into a narrative of a baseball game. But just pick one where she actually gets a hold of one.
Yes.
That's fair. That's fair. I wrote, has any scout ever felt a pitcher's arm and just kind of been intrigued? Like, oh, pitch. like John Lovitz does when he feels his pitching arm.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
That's
good.
really
we think
good.
twice about this.
You say you're a pitcher, eh? Yeah.
All right, you can come.
Marla's clearly a switch hitter, but she's always hitting righty, even with righties on the mound in the
Great
movie.
nitpick. That's a great detail.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
And it shows up in the scene where she's stepping in and out of the batter's box, and it works because it doesn't work well if she's got to look over her shoulder as a lefty, but then just stage it to where they're on the opposite side.
Yeah, that's fair.
That is a fair one.
Still gets the hit though.
Still gets the hit.
I put. Is Evelyn the only player on the team with daycare issues, where her son has to come to all the games? It's 14 women on the team. She's the only one with daycare issues in 1940s.
Yeah, that's good.
That's a good one. Right before, you got to figure that all these women are part of the baby or are mothers to baby boomers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So early 20s.
Yeah.
That's good.
In Game 7 of the World Series, in the bottom of the ninth, someone smokes one, and the way that they stage this is a little odd because May catches a ball close to the wall for out one in the ninth inning, but she's playing about 10 feet behind second base when this ball is hit, which means May ran about 150 feet in 3 seconds to get that ball.
She had tremendous outfield range.
So fast.
That's good.
What else do I have? I have, why did the bus driver quit in the middle of nowhere? Where was he going to go? Like, that
was my unanswerable question. Is where is
I have that unanswerable as well.
Sorry,
Mr. Gusatelli.
Where's Lou Gusatelli going? Also, great Jimmy Dugan line when he wakes up drunk in the bus. Like, Lou quit. Who's Lou?
That's quote in living my line.
Who's Lou?
Where was he going?
He was in the middle of nowhere. Where was he walking to? That guy was an old man.
1940s,
Guys,
cornfields.
I'm really proud of myself that I made it to 2 hours and 6 minutes into this to say who's Lou.
It's it for all of us.
That's really good. That's a great quote. Wow.
That's also another Jesse Munger favorite.
Yeah.
This is my last one. Jimmy Dugan made a horrible mistake thinking that whiskey and Coke don't mix.
Well, it was the 1940s. Maybe they didn't know about that drink yet.
Because seized on a giant opportunity.
Jimmy drank everything there could be that could drink.
Do you think that was part of the joke?
Maybe.
Ooh.
That's fair.
Like, I was being ironical?
Yeah, depends on what Penny Marshall's drink of choice is.
Yeah.
That could have been. They know these two don't mix.
Yeah. I got one more. I can't remember what game it happens in, but Madonna catches a ball with her hat.
Yeah, it's not an out.
It's not an out. Yeah. It wouldn't be an out in Major League Baseball. So.
But that also happens in Major League 2, I believe.
Does it? Okay.
I think Tanaka does it at some point, and then whatever. It happens in movies, and it's fine.
Yeah. No,
Tanaka climbs to the wall, climbs on top of the wall to catch one, which is
yes, I remember that.
What they get wrong all the time is that people fall into the stands or into the dugout, and the extra base isn't rewarded.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a good point too.
Because the ruling is if you leave the field of play after making a legal catch, the ball is dead and every base runner gets a base.
To be honest, I actually don't think I realized that was a rule. It's interesting. Makes sense.
That's interesting.
Send you a quiz.
Love it, baseball.
Unanswerable questions. Number 1, bold letters. Does Jotty drop it on purpose?
You got to ask it.
It's the unanswered. It's the question of the movie.
So
what's everyone's vote?
This was the initial conversation when I watched this with everybody in my family. Everybody was like, yes, of course she dropped the ball first. I think that's the immediate reaction. My personal take is, I don't know. But if you look at the scene before Kit gets the bat, Dottie goes out to the mound. She says to Alice, pitch them high. Like, she can't hit him. She can't lay off him. I mean, that makes me think she wants to get her out. Whether she changes her mind once she's crossing third base, I don't know. But I don't know. That makes me think that she did not drop the ball on purpose. What do you guys think?
Mm.
I don't think she dropped it on purpose. I think there's nothing that led me think that Dottie. Maybe it was seeing Kit crying. They do show the shot of her seeing Kit like having her fucking meltdown in the dugout. But to have the wherewithal after telling Alan Sue or whoever to strike her out with the high ones, then to decide that you're going to let her score, I don't know. I don't think she did drop it on purpose. What was her plan? What was her plan? Like, I'm only going to let them win if Kit's coming at me hard. But like, if they just strike out to end the game, I'll celebrate with my teammates after I supplied the winning hit.
Well, maybe she thought, just in the moment, like she sees her running at her and was like, oh my God, she cares so much that, I don't know. What do you think? I'm curious what you think, Andy.
She drops it on purpose. The only conflicting evidence is what Mark brought up with telling Ellen Sue what she can and can't hit. It's more of a challenge. Like, let's see if she can do well with the thing that she's struggled with her entire career. Like, let's give little sis a challenge, right? I'm gonna tell her how to pitch to this person. Also, why didn't Dottie just send that letter into the group, into the team, before she left for the World Series? Like, hey, by the way, if you're facing Kit, and also, how did everyone on the team not know about this already? They played an entire season.
In the scouting report.
They did already plan an entire season with Kit.
That's the only piece of conflicting evidence as to she did drop it on purpose. You don't have the scene where the music changes, where Hans Zimmer's score changes when Dottie's looking at Kit crying in the dugout from upbeat to let's have a reflective moment here. She understands how much this means to Kit. It's not supposed to mean that much to Dottie. Dottie's got something else to do when this is all over. This is all Kit has. And you also don't stage it the way that Marshall stages it by having another scene where Dottie gets run over and doesn't drop the ball. If you're not going to set it up to where she gets run over and does drop it, right? Like,
that's fair.
Everything else in this movie is set up like these people do these things. Like, Marla's a good hitter. Doris is a badass, also a good hitter. May is an asshole. Kit is a problem child, whining, can't hit fastballs, wants this more than anybody else does. You don't set all those things up to then have Dottie like rub it in Kit's face and like keep the ball or like try her hardest. She drops it on purpose. Got it.
That's fair. I mean, yeah.
All right, I'll accept that she dropped it on purpose. It's better for the movie. I just wish there would have been like a wink or something. Maybe there didn't need to be. Maybe that would have been cheesy.
Has anybody interviewed Penny Marshall after the fact, like about?
Good question.
I mean,
I don't know. She's dead now, so.
Oh, she did.
Way to bring that one down, Mike.
Sorry.
You'll never find out.
Attention, Nils is dead. I repeat.
Hey, fuckhead.
Nice.
My other unanswerable was, what's Dottie and Kit's relationship really like from that game till they're older women? Like, because there are some comments made from the kids. Like, it seems like they do know each other. Like, their kids know who their aunts are, but what's it like? We don't know. Is it good after that moment? Because Kit finally got her shot of glory. And then did she become like a better person? Did she finally evolve into being a decent human being? Or was she still a little shit the rest of her life because she just got her way? Because her sister let her have it.
B. It's option B.
Yeah. That's why Daddy doesn't want to go. She doesn't want to go because Kit's a little bitch.
You see it right after when she's signing autographs. She's finally got her glory, and then she's giving the kids good advice, right? Like, listen to your mom, be good, get dirty, go out and play. Like, she's already turning around.
Okay. My third unanswerable question is, what the hell happened to Gina Davis? She
What do
did
you mean?
Beetlejuice. She did Beetlejuice in 1988. She did Thelma and Louise in 1991, where she was nominated for an Academy Award. She did this in 1992, where she was nominated for a Golden Globe. I think she actually won. And then she just disappeared off the face of the earth.
I had her for Apex Mountain, to be honest.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. This is.
But yeah, it's a great unanswerable question. Yeah,
All-timer.
she's at the height of her powers. Why does she just fade to obscurity? Yeah,
I don't know. I didn't do any research on Gina Davis's career. I don't know what professional, personal life.
Yeah,
there's hints in this movie that she's not a great actress, but I think she's pretty good overall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think she's pretty good too. Yeah. You guys have any other unanswerables? We've touched on a few throughout the podcast too. I'm sure Andy has like 7.
I got a couple. But Andy, you go ahead.
I got 11 to 13 more.
Wow.
They're all stupid ones though. Like, whose job is it to replace the windows in the school Marla plays in? Who's got that job? Jimmy Dugan hit 487 home runs in the majors. I guess that's not an unanswerable question. I just put it here. But I think that's a cool fact. Like, he would have been top 30, I think, all time?
In 1991, yeah.
Why doesn't Evelyn Garner's loser husband stop reading the want ads and go join the army? So Stillwell doesn't have to go on the road trips. Who's better at being hungover, Jimmy Dugan or John McClane?
Oh,
that's a nice.
John
nice
McClane.
question.
Jimmy Dugan's terrible when he's hungover. He
Yeah.
sleeps through the whole fucking game. John McClane stops New York on 3 separate occasions from being destroyed.
He does have the advantage of taking Advil.
All right. Maybe when I wrote this question, it was, who's better at playing a hungover person?
Yeah.
Hanks or Bruce Willis?
Tom Hanks. Because Bruce Willis just shouts that he's hungover. You don't really see it. With Hanks, you feel his hangover.
Yeah. I got a bad fucking headache all goddamn day.
That's a good question.
Where and how did May get the poison for Miss Cuthbert's dinner? And what was the poison?
I'm not well versed in poison. Yeah, I don't know where you're getting that.
Do you think it was just like a shitload of tryptophan?
Is that a poison?
I don't know.
That's what's in turkey that makes you sleepy.
No, I know that.
Throwing up everywhere.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. May's she's pretty shady. She's probably hanging around with a lot of shady dudes. So
shady. I just love that they're like, well, how are you going to get past Ms. Cuthbert? And Doris is like, May's going to poison her dinner.
Everybody's okay with it. Everybody's like, great.
Yeah, May's going to poison her dinner.
This poor old woman.
But just hold on. Just on the eating, it reminded me of a scene that I forgot to bring up, where they're at charm school and Rosie O'Donnell's just stuffing her face. I just wanted to throw that in there. I really enjoy it. Yeah.
How fast are those pitches coming in?
I would say 70s to 80s, right?
Yeah.
What do you think?
80s is tough.
80s
in real life. In the movie, it's like 45.
No, I know, but what they're trying to portray.
If that.
Yeah.
Okay. Unanswerable. No radar back in the
unanswerable.
And what are both Dottie and Marla Hooch's stat lines for the season?
How many games do you think they played this season? Like 40?
Let's assume it's prorated, or it's extrapolated into 162.
Oh, I like that. I would say Dottie's hitting like 386 with like a 500 on base percentage. Probably not that many homers. She just hits big ones, so probably like 17 homers, but like 145 RBI, and maybe like 60 doubles.
That's phenomenally close to what I had. Actually, I was like, take a Ted Williams season, and that's Dottie's season, and then take like a Babe Ruth season, and that's Marla's season. Marla's dropping bombs, even though we never see her actually hit a home run in a game.
So you think Marla is more of a big hitter than a hitter for average?
Yeah, they call Marla the best hitter in the league.
No, I know, but you're
Dottie's
saying
the
she
best
hits more home
hitter.
runs than hits for average?
Yeah.
Marla?
I think. Well, I think Dottie strikes out less. I bet Marla's boom or bust.
Okay.
But she's got an eye like DiMaggio.
Marla's still hitting 300. She's just not hitting 380.
The way her dad says
I think they're hitting
that phrase is
out
great.
of. If you
Got
got
an eye like
people trying out, 100 people trying out for the league, their average has got to be in the 4 or 5. I think he's hitting like 520.
That
Yeah.
could be true.
I don't know.
Who knows?
I don't know, but then that World Series game 7 is 2-1 the final score.
Right.
That's true.
With-
that is true. Good pitching.
With Kit pitching the entire game.
She's good. She
I
can
know,
pitch.
I know.
She's a
she can
strong
pitch.
right shoulder, according to John Lovett. What's the best baseball play in the movie? I've got 5 nominees. The split catch. Doris goes into the stands to catch the ball and the hot dog at the same time. Dottie's behind the back. Betty Spaghetti relay to Doris to the Dottie collision at the plate. Or the Dottie catch and run into the dugout. What's the best play of the game?
Hot dog.
I don't think it's hot dog.
No, I'm just kidding. Impressive. though.
I mean, I think the split is just so unique. I feel like that's just, I'd be like wowed by that if I saw it. I feel like you see players going to the dugout to catch balls behind the back.
That's why
not as challenging as a split. I don't know.
That's why it's the cover of Life magazine or whatever,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think
is
it's a split too.
flashiest.
Yeah.
It's the flashiest. I think that the hardest play is the Dottie running into the dugout or Doris into the stands.
Oh, totally. If you're dealing with steps trying to catch a fly ball, are you kidding me?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, imagine if the famous Jeter play where he goes into the stands, he emerges with a couple peanuts. You know?
You could chalk that up to Rosie O'Donnell.
Yeah.
I've got another category for later.
No, do it now because all we have left is best quote, Apex Mountain, and who won. So do it now.
Well, I got one more unanswerable question.
Go, Mark.
Sorry, real quick. Is Jimmy Dugan's piss the longest piss ever in movie history? And I did
In
a
movie
little
history.
research. Yeah, obviously
There's a-
not in human history. I'm sure there's been a longer. So it lasts for 53 seconds. I
Okay.
did a little research. And I didn't do the actual timing, but I just did like a Google research. And I don't know if you remember in Austin Powers, I don't know which one, he takes a really long one.
First one.
Where he's like, puts his hands up at some point, and
Yeah.
I don't know what the seconds are. And then Jim Carrey in Dumb and Dumber was the other one, into the beer bottles in the van.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Yeah,
a
that
long.
was good.
But
There's
anyway,
also another one in Spaceballs where President Scrooge is at the urinal and gets interrupted halfway through. The one in Austin Powers never actually ends. They
Does
cut
it not? Okay,
to
I
a
couldn't
new
remember.
scene before he's done.
Okay, yeah.
You got to think 40 years of cryo sleep has got to beat out like 12 beers at 9 in the morning.
Yeah.
Unanswerable question. Anyway, just had to throw it in there.
That's a good one. That's a good one, Mark.
A really good question.
What's next?
Andy's category.
Oh, I had the Peaches Major League Baseball doppelgangers. So, I can't find it now. Can we name, Mark, I know that you only have, of your MLB knowledge, this is why I put it in the 90s. I know that you only have knowledge of 90s baseball players. Can you still hear me?
I think he left, and he doesn't have his AirPods in.
Mark's gone. This is why we need a producer. We got to cut this up.
Yeah, it's fine. We're gonna go 3 hours on this one.
Jesus. Well, if Mark's doing it, then I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna come back.
If anybody makes it to this point,
Yeah.
who even cares? We only have one fan anyway. Shout out Dan Rosado. I know you're listening.
Sorry, I could hear you. I just couldn't.
Yeah. I feel like you need to do a Kramer and we're back, like he's hosting the Merv Griffin show.
Yeah.
And we're back.
I could totally hear you. I didn't want to shout.
Feeling good all the time.
Sorry.
All right, so Mark, I know that you all of your knowledge of baseball, it's kind of dwindled off in the last, I don't know, a couple decades, but you know 90s baseball.
That's all I know.
And this movie was obviously made in the 90s. We're going to do the starting lineup, and I only have 8 of the 9 people because no one really cares about Alice or Evelyn.
No.
We're going to do if you can think of a 90s baseball player that most mirrors the starting lineup for the Peaches.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely love this question. This is phenomenal. Do you have a lineup yourself?
I do. I've got some players in mind.
All right, go one by one.
All right, so we're just going in order of the starting lineup. So May Mortabito.
Can I give you my just initial?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking like a Lance Johnson center field or Vince Coleman. Like that's my initial reaction to.
Vince Coleman's really good.
I don't know. What do you guys have?
Tell me who you have, Andy. I got to think about this for a second.
I had
so much pressure.
I had out of left field, no pun intended, out of left field reasonings for this. So for May, I had Lenny Dykstra.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Great player.
Oh, that's on and off the field.
Great player, kind of an asshole, and the life choices will eventually catch up with him.
Yep, that's a great call. Yeah.
What do you think about Ricky Henderson?
Yeah, that's good too. That's
I don't know if she was good enough, but yeah, it's really good. You got to think May probably led the league in stolen bases.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
That's interesting too.
All right, next up, Doris Murphy.
Ooh, Doris.
What's funny is the only name that's popping in my head is Butch Husky, but that's just because she's Butch. And that's terrible.
We're the reason that comment's the reason this movie got made, Mike.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking Matt Williams comes to mind, but that's just a third baseman that was in the 90s.
That's great.
This is good.
Yeah.
Matt Williams is real.
Who do you got?
I had Gary Gaetti. It's solid. Always got the job done.
Yeah.
Ken Caminiti was a close second honorable mention.
Also a good call. I like that.
Scotty Henson.
Catcher's tough.
Yeah, catcher is tough.
There's 2 90s catchers that I think are pretty good.
I mean, you're not going to she's not Pudge, is she?
That's who I had.
Oh, you did have Pudge? Okay. I mean, I feel like defensively, for sure, I feel like she was Pudge as good a hitter as she was?
Later in his career, yeah. Pudge won an MVP, I think.
Okay. Yeah, she's Piazza at the plate. She's just not.
Yeah.
Piazza. Yeah.
She's better than Piazza behind the plate.
Yeah.
She's Piazza.
Yeah. Pudge Piazza combo.
I love this.
Yeah.
character.
Which worked because she was supposed to be a conglomeration or an amalgam of every other player in the league anyway. So
Yeah, you're
Cool.
right. That's perfect. Okay.
Marla Hooch, Pudgiazza for Dottie Hinson for the win. Marla Hooch.
Ryan Sandberg,
What?
not good enough hitter.
Second baseman, tough.
Yeah, I mean, second baseman, especially in the '90s, they weren't as good hitters as they were today. I don't know, Craig Biggio.
Why did she play second? That always confused me. I guess she was good.
Where else are you gonna put her? She's not like a mobile.
Ellen
seems like you.
She seems like a good left fielder, right?
Yeah.
First
First
base, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. Marla, second
Sandberg or
base.
Biggio. I don't know if Biggio is enough '90s. I don't know.
Biggio's good. I had Knobloch as an honorable mention, but she was a switch hitter, and the only good switch hitting second base in the '90s was Robbie Alomar.
Yeah.
Oh.
But she's
the right build, though.
personality-wise, she's more of a Knobloch than she is an Alomar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
I can see Knobloch getting wasted and singing karaoke.
Yeah.
Ellen Sue Gottlander, shortstop.
Is that Ripken? Just pretty, just perfect. And
So why not go like A-Rod? I don't know. Pretty Jeter.
A-Rod's like a butch. I don't know.
That's good, though. Both of those are really good.
Yeah.
I had different reasons for why I picked the person that I picked. She was underrated, could hit the ball all over the place. One of the best all-around players you got because she's also a pitcher. So I picked Jay Bell from the 90s.
Yeah, the Pirates.
Also, Jay Bell now looking really good in his mid-50s. He's got that going.
Okay, I like that.
Do we need? And then I think Kit is the only other one that we have to do. Kit Keller. Who do we got?
I'm gonna let Mike go because I know he loves Kit.
Are we going Kid as a pitcher?
I think you
He's
have
a
to,
ball
right?
player.
Yeah.
Pitcher though, right?
She hit 2 though in the National League.
I don't know. I maybe we can come back to who's like a hothead.
I mean Clemens, but he was really AL.
I'm not giving Kit Clemens.
Okay,
I'm
I'm just thinking about hothead
But
pitcher.
you're gonna love my pick then. For Kit Keller, I had Ozzie Canseco, the younger sibling to a Hall of Famer, clearly an inferior player, and with those genes, definitely an asshole.
Okay. Good.
Good call on the sibling.
Perfect. Definitely a younger sibling. Terrible.
Shoot, I wish we did this for the Sandlot. Damn, we'll have to do.
Nah, it wouldn't have been as good.
I know.
Who's gonna be Bertram?
Yeah.
Just if we ever can meet up in person again, we'll do it the Sandlot in person.
Okay. That's
Okay.
fair. I don't think there can be an unanswerable after that. Best quote. We know there's no crying in baseball. It's on the AFI's top 100 list. I think it's like number 65 or something like that.
It's gotta be
54.
54? There you go.
Yes.
We've mentioned a lot of good quotes. I'm gonna mention some that we haven't mentioned yet. I'm just going through this list yet. Avoid the clap, Jimmy Dugan. We have not talked about yet. Somehow, 2 hours and 30 minutes. We have not said avoid the clap, Jimmy Dugan.
I've heard Andy say that probably 100 times. Just around.
Yeah. It's the second greatest line of the movie. Yeah.
Boy, the clap, Jimmy Dugan.
Good advice.
Yeah, I mean, Jenna likes the 2 ones that involve boobs, milky white breasts, and stop thinking with your tits. Gary Marshall's got a good one. Well, what should we do? Send the boys home from war back to the kitchen?
Your Gary Marshall is fantastic.
Your Gary Marshall is incredible.
My most like nonchalant one is, anyone seen my red hat? Daddy goes, "I'll piss on your red hat," and
That's
she
a
just
good
goes, "Well, that was uncalled for." Anything Rosie said, anything that Lovett said, obviously we Lovett's pickle tickle, mule nag we haven't even talked about. I like the high ones. I like the high ones is something that I've said a lot in my life.
Yeah.
Lay off the high ones. I like the high ones is really good.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
I like that they call back that whole at the beginning, at the end of the movie. They call back those same two lines, which is really nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
My favorite, I think my favorite one, even more so than this is one that gets really overshadowed. But I think it's better than There's No Crying in Baseball, just because I'm a baseball player, but it's supposed to be hard. If it wasn't hard, everyone would do it. Hard is what makes it.
So, quick story about that quote. For law school, our graduating year, we had to choose like a yearbook quote, and we ended up choosing that quote, which sounds like stupid and cliche in retrospect, but we actually chose that week of their own quote. Like everybody voted on it, and the heart is what makes it great. Like it's so stupid, but yeah.
It's not. Well, it would have been stupid if you guys at the law school class picked There's No Crying in Baseball.
Who's Lou?
Who's Lou? Who's Lou?
Oh no, do we lose Mike?
Mike left. He's gone. We got to do the rest of this on our own, Mark.
I'm back.
Right.
Hey,
Wow.
He's back.
It says we're still recording. Okay, good.
Okay.
Who's Lou? That's all I went out on.
If we ended the call just everyone saying "Who's Lou" at the same time, I would be fine with this.
Who's Lou?
Who's Lou? You're killing me, Alice. You're goddamn killing me.
Yeah, his disgust is just phenomenal throughout the movie. I liked this is our daughter Dottie, and this is our other daughter Dottie's sister.
Yeah, but Kid said it, so fuck her.
I know. You guys can't. You guys.
David Straighthairn underrated one. He goes, "If I paid you a little bit more, could you be more disgusting?" And Hanks just responds with, "Well, I could certainly use the money."
That's good.
McDonald,
you're out, right? Brenda. You are out.
That's a good one. Rosie. Have you ever been married? Gina Davis asking to Jimmy Dugan. What do we think? Yeah, twice. Any children? One of them was, yeah.
That one's fantastic.
I mean, Lovitz, we don't even need to go back over them, but I mean, he's got
We've got some Lovitz ones that we haven't mentioned.
Yeah.
Okay, reel
them. So we got So Long Milkmaids. When Kit is like, I'll come and play, he goes, okay. If you stink, it only costs us a train ticket. When he's talking to that douchebag salesman on the train, if I had your job, I'd kill myself. Right as they're getting on the train after they're running up, and he goes, well, at least they can run. He goes, they get on the train and they're all flustered from throwing their luggage and running onto a moving fucking train. And all he says is, you promised the cows you'd write?
Oh, God. He's amazing.
My favorite, there's three more. So it's grab a shower, give a shave, give the wife a little pickle tickle. And then I hate when they get attached to me like that. But right before that, when they walk into Wrigley Field, he goes, hey, cowgirls, see the grass? Don't eat it.
Don't eat it.
It's so good.
And I think my favorite one of the whole movie, my favorite Lovitz moment outside of the motion that he makes when he sees Marla's face for the first time is when she's frozen waiting to get on the train. He goes, see, How it works is the train moves, not the station.
So good. God, he is just throwing haymakers, just every line. It's
like
phenomenal.
It's like 7 of the
Haymakers.
best 10 lines in the movie in 8 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Shout out to Gracefully and Grandfully from the Beauty School.
Yes. I know. I recite that one
Gracefully
often well.
and Grandly.
Who won the movie?
Apex Mountain. Lovitz?
You think Lovitz?
What is?
I didn't look at his IMDb, but it's such a bit role. Like
the critic? I
Yeah.
don't know. Like,
It's really good.
yeah.
I think he's more known for his SNL stuff, but this is...
yeah.
So there's also like 3 minutes in The Wedding Singer where he's the best part of that movie too.
Is this pre Mom and Dad Saves the World, or is this post Mom and Dad Saves the World? I don't know if you guys ever saw that movie.
Either way, it's better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I don't remember him in that movie, so yeah.
Okay.
I think it is.
I would give it. I mean,
I think it's because I don't. This is like Mount Rushmore of Dion Waiters, right? Like,
Yeah. Yes.
10 minutes. He basically has 10 of the best lines in the movie.
I would
Yeah.
challenge anyone to find me 8 to 10 minutes of someone in a movie where everything that they say is gold, and then they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. He's the apex of Dion Waiters for sure.
He's
Yeah.
Kaiser Soze.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think it's definitely Lori Petty's Apex Mountain. Well, you can move on. We don't have to say anything else.
We're going to talk about Point Break, maybe.
You think that's her Apex Mountain?
No, but I just want to talk about Point Break.
Okay. Penny Marshall?
Yeah,
I don't
definitely.
know.
Yeah.
Well, she's on Laverne and Shirley.
First female director to gross 100 million.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a big deal.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is a huge deal, and she blazed a trail here.
Yeah. This
This is-
2-year stretch for Gina Davis, also Thelma and Louise in this, for
Yep.
sure.
I
She's
agree.
at the peak of, but I guess she wasn't at the peak of her powers because then she ended up doing nothing. So,
This is the beginning of the end.
yeah. That's all I had. That's pretty much everyone. Certainly not Hanks. Every other person in the movie.
Yeah. That's all I had too.
Apex Mountain for women's baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably goes without saying.
They don't
Yeah.
play it. They play
I think
softball now.
I think it goes without saying. I don't think we even need to kick them while they're. Jenna threw out Madonna.
Throughout what?
Madonna.
I feel like it's past her apex, right? Wasn't she bigger in the 80s?
No.
No.
She's not famous. This isn't. She may have been at her apex when she made this movie, but she's not at her apex because of this movie.
Yeah. Rosie, the actor.
I
Probably.
give it to her.
But her talk show was really, really successful. Like really, really successful.
Yeah,
She was like
but-
she was like Ellen, right?
Yeah, but it might not have happened. Maybe it doesn't happen without this movie.
She does more. No, she does more with her talk show than she does.
She
here.
does more with her talk show. Yeah, her talk show is enormous.
She was a stand-up comic before she did any of this.
Yeah.
So she-
Who won the movie? Dottie or Jimmy? Not Kit.
I mean, I have to be honest. I put Kit, and I know you're gonna hate it, but I mean, if you just look at where she came from, laughing stock of this Oregon baseball league to this hero in the women's professional league, whether she deserves to be hero or not, I feel like made the greatest leap from terrible to. And I know
Still
she's not-
terrible?
I know she's not likable, but I don't know. Don't you think she makes the biggest leap in terms of Like, who else makes a big? I mean, I don't know. I didn't think
No,
Dottie
as
won the movie.
I've laid out, she doesn't make a leap. She just gets lucky as shit.
But I'm saying from the outside perspective, I think she does make the leap. Like,
Yeah, maybe.
You know, I don't think everybody else in the world is realizing that she's this
But
malcontent.
when you talk about this movie to someone else, you don't first bring up Kit.
No, that's
Well,
right.
So she doesn't.
If we're talking about character arcs right now, this isn't who won the movie. The only two people in the movie that change at all are Jimmy Dugan and Ira Lowenstein. They're the only two people that have any sort of realization or aha moment where their attitudes toward everything changes.
You don't think that Dottie has that when she comes back?
No, she's always loved baseball.
She didn't know it though.
She did. She just was refusing to admit that. She doesn't have any. There's no arc there. Every character is static except for Dugan and Lowenstein. But Penny Marshall won the movie.
Oh,
That's a good call. I didn't think of that.
She comes in without
That's the
having
right
ever
answer.
made a sports movie before and makes the second best baseball movie, in my opinion, the second best baseball movie of all time.
what's your first, by the way? You haven't said that.
Bull Durham. Bull Durham is the best baseball movie of all time.
That's a discussion for another day. I disagree.
Yeah.
But
But
that's a rom-com. Not
she
a
makes
baseball movie.
she makes the second best baseball movie ever. She's the first female director to gross $100 million at the box office, and makes a movie about sexism that empowers women, and it's fun to watch. You get Hans Zimmer as your composer, and I don't. You get all of these like happenstance favors done through your connections in Hollywood, getting all these actors to come and do these little roles that are. I don't think it's close. I think Penny Marshall crushes it. Tom Hanks has done other things. You could say Hanks, in the absence of the rest of Hanks' career, wins the movie, but Penny Marshall blazes a trail.
No, you're right. I can totally agree.
Same. That makes me feel much better. I didn't feel good about Kit. So.
You should feel bad about Kit.
but you can't give it to like Dottie or Jimmy. You're like, right? I mean, you just can't. They don't win the movie, right?
No, they lose.
Yeah, that's what
I guess
if you had to give it to any character, you can't give it to Jimmy or Dottie, right?
You give it to Jimmy. No, Jimmy. Jimmy comes out. Jimmy gets over alcoholism for the time being, and
turns down that minor league job to keep going with the women.
Right.
Yeah.
I've got a job here, and ends up shaving his face at the end of the movie. That's important too.
Mm-hmm.
That was a nice pickup you had.
A big winner.
Penny Marshall, rest in peace.
R.I.P. Penny. You did well.
I think that's it. I don't have anything else to say.
This was fun. What's the final time?
2:40.
2:42.
It's like a Joe Rogan podcast.
Do we need to rein it in a little bit?
Well, considering we're not doing this for anyone else, no.
I'm having a great time.
If anyone
hours to spare.
If anyone out there made it this far and is upset about it, then that's on you for even bothering to listen to us on YouTube.
Penny Marshall.
Whether you like this, we're making normal references halfway through the podcast.
Yes.
Care.
All right, guys. Let's debate the next one, and we will do this again soon.
Can I just throw out a quick?
I thought we were doing sneakers right now.
Can I throw out a quick nom? And I'm surprised the other podcasts haven't done it. Is we talked about it. Catch Me If You Can. I know it's another Tom Hanks, but that's my most rewatchable movie ever. It's
both of your number one rewatchables of all time.
Yeah, you just name the time and the place, and I'll be there.
Yeah. Anyway,
I'll be there in a support role. I do not have the same feelings toward, but I'll participate.
Yeah, well, we could talk about it. Let it percolate.
All right, guys, great job. I think we really nailed it. We went 30. We went at least over 30 minutes longer than the movie, so good for us.
Every time. Every
time.
Not as long as the uncut version.
Yeah,
True.
we.
True.
You want to stay on and do another hour and a half to get to the. We should go
guys.
to more '90s baseball players that Marla Hooch represents.
Enjoy your weekends.
See you guys.
See ya.
Bye.